Hello,
Hello.
and welcome to the grand game of the day and of the evening and perhaps of the night.
Yeah.
Operation Trading Grounds, once again onto the breach with the Hygge HOI community. Yeah, we're a little bit late, but
It happens. A lot to get done before you can start a game as large as the ones we play.
indeed, there is a lot of people that need to wake up in time, and there is a lot
Yeah.
of people that need to patch their Hearts of Iron, and
Yeah.
things have some lead times sometimes.
Yeah.
But soon we will be started, and we'll be getting into the game.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a great game. First game, first big game since Bergold. A lot of always a lot of energy surrounding that, and now we're starting a new year with grand games leading up to the next Bergold. So it's gonna be good.
Definitely, and it will also be interesting to see, because when we have Bergagård, we have the physical lawn environment. Everyone is just running around, talking to each other, discussing different strategies, and that can really change up the meta for these grand games later on. So we'll see how the last Bergagård has affected the meta and how this will play out here today.
We obviously we've talked to some of the players. We should should have some new things to look forward to, some new strategies that we'll see how they work.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see. We have been discussing the possibility of innovative Poland,
Yeah.
to say so. I think we will get into that more later, but we have some ideas coming out from our players, and see how they will be implemented.
Yeah, absolutely. We have some entirely new players for us as well. So the community is ever growing.
Indeed.
It's great to see, and hopefully we'll have a great game for the new players, and something new for the old dogs as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice when we have this mix, because the new players really bring a fresh outlook on things, cool ideas, and we have the old ones that know what can be implemented and what can't.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to see, not just because we're a Hearts of Iron community, sort of grown up in ourselves, with Badger and some of the others, really pioneering this from a long time ago. But there are other Hearts of Iron communities, and we've started to see a bit of interplay between us, and that's so great.
Definitely. Everything for the broader game community.
Yeah.
And we have some people saying hello in the chat. We have Seva here, Prage for the Meta Gods. Hello, William here. These grand games are always fun to watch anyway, no matter who plays. How is Mascot Cat doing?
Mascot Cat is away right now.
Yeah, but we will try to get the Mascot Cat here. I mean, it is one of the ones that were kittens. If you remember when we had the kittens in the stream and we lifted in a cat, that cat has leveled up significantly since then.
Yeah, a lot bigger.
And is now very agile.
Yeah, we do have some treats to entice the Mascot Cat with, but
that's the thing. But we can't show them, because if the cat sees them, I think she will do
she'll just
frontline forced attack order.
All the way. So we're gonna try to do this a little bit at a time, so that the cat just doesn't eat it all.
Yeah, we will see, but he will arrive at some point. And also welcome back, both Night Round and Mortal Vision and Seva for that matter, is people that we have had the pleasure of having in our chat for a lot of grand games, and have been supporters since long ago. So very nice to see you back here with us.
Yeah. All right.
Let's see. We are starting. We have 32 players in here now. As we said during the match analysis, we do have a bit of a. We have more minors on the Allied side than on the Axis side.
Yes. We did fill Vici in the end, right?
Yeah, I think we did. We had some vacancies up until late, and the one that plays Vichy is.
Alexander will be playing Vichy, yeah.
Oh, okay. And he's now co-op on Japan then, until the nation is actually formed, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. Vichy France is one of those countries that you don't really think about. It has a lot in common with, for example, Ireland and so on. That it's not something you generally see as a high impact country, but once again, I mean, when you're in a very even game, the smallest of things can tip the scales, and you don't really expect it either. So.
Yeah. And we've seen some of the craziest plays from some of the smallest nations, whether it's Albania, like paradropping Moscow, or just breaking through that front line. It can happen at any point.
Yeah, and it will be interesting to see this game also when we have Badger on Spain, because that's a very, very experienced and dangerous Spain. And if he wants to utilize his resources to the fullest, he will probably join the Axis proper and not go a volunteer build.
Yeah.
And that switches up the meta a bit, because it will be easier to take Gibraltar for the Axis, but also they open up a lot of avenues for a D-Day invasion.
Absolutely. I personally love like the civil war in Spain. We've really seen it go both ways in the games, so it's one of those things that can really change how the two factions go into the first conflict. And you can come out of that with either like a whole lot of experience and great troops and generals, or you can just be far behind and need to spend the first days of the conflict leveling up your generals.
Yeah, and also Spain is not, by default, Spain is not that big of an economy. So if you have a really bloody civil war that really wrecks your country, then you will have a harder time getting back into the game later. So it's one of those first wars that really shapes up the game, much as in real life, to be honest, because it was a very devastating war that really had long effects on the Spanish nation. So we'll see that reflected here maybe on Spain, where we have Badger, our general secretary.
All right. Let's see. Has he played Spain before?
I think no, or I think we said that he didn't, right? He hadn't.
He has played Spain twice before.
Ah, well.
But that must have been a while ago. I do not remember.
Yeah, I do not remember that either from our games that we've casted, at least.
Yeah.
And I mean, he is a very, very experienced player, and I mean, of course he will join the faction, right?
Yeah.
We get confirmation here.
Yeah, his plan is to join the faction. He's going to be going into Navy, and specifically submarines.
Oh.
We're
that can be dangerous.
The thing, like, Navy is one of those things where if you don't pay attention to it, suddenly it can just all go wrong, and if you're not at the tip of your game, like, you will just lose your Navy.
Yeah. Then again, like, if he's going to join the faction and be fully Axis Spain, then Navy is probably a good thing, because I mean, no one will be able to land, right? If he has all these submarines.
True. And,
if they do, though, you can be in trouble. Let's see, we get some information here.
So apparently he's going to be going for some cheap tanks in order to help defend against D-Day, which personally I think is just great. You really want just more units, more stuff on the field for D-Day when Germany suddenly goes from being one front to two fronts. And it's usually always the case that Germany has the better troops, they just don't have enough of them. So having something that just can fill out the lines, it doesn't have to be the best thing ever, it just needs to help Germany hold.
Yeah, definitely. And we also get the information here that they will let Gibraltar and Malta live to drive in convoys.
Okay.
And that's a very interesting tactic from the Navy Spain, because, I mean, if you see Allied convoys going like in here via Gibraltar to like North Africa or something, then they will get absolutely decimated by the Spanish submarines. But also, if the Allies still have Gibraltar and you're a Spain with basically no military factory, so they actually manage to land, I don't know what you're supposed to do at that point. So it's a high risk, potentially high reward play, but mostly high risk.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, if you can coordinate that, it can be so effective, right? If you can kill the convoys and create that lull in logistics right as you're like going for an attack somewhere that depends on that logistics, obviously you can like create like such success for yourself in any operation. It's just difficult to plan that far ahead in a game where there are so many factors and so much stuff happening at the same time.
And I mean, we have the bird's eye view as casters, so we can see like, okay, this has happened. They have a big deficit in infantry equipment, for example, on the Soviet side. You should push now, and the Germans don't see that. And coordinating different windows of power is much harder also in these games when you're not sitting next to your comrades.
Absolutely.
So we have seen, though, I remember the naval invasion from Romania to Baku. That was in a digital game, and that was very well coordinated, where Romania and Bulgaria landed here, took over the oil fields, and the Germans pushed at the same time.
Yeah, that's a player skill that we don't highlight that often. Because it's so easy to just get shrunk down into your nation, and you're just doing what you want your nation to do. But it is really a two-faction game. It's one faction against the other, and you need to cooperate with all the other players. And we've highlighted other players such as Jacob, for example, who's great to have in a team, in a nation. Like, you want to be second player to Jacob. It's such a good environment to play in. But there's also the aspect of needing to cooperate with other nations. And that's, a different skill in itself.
And we have two questions here in the chat. We have, are players allowed to set up their country before the timers move on? And yes, indeed they are. That's why we're paused at this moment, because everyone is setting up their different things. They are setting out. We can see here, for example, that Germany has started to build some civilian factories, some infrastructure, and some military factories, and soon you will see countries start recruiting political advisors and so on.
Yes, and Snake529 asks, this game is in person, right? And no, this is not in person. This is online at the moment. We just had our yearly in-person game, Biogold. Now we're off to another year of grand games, which will be digital.
And also, if you want to watch Biogold, it is on our YouTube channel. And please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You will get guides from Boppus and Badger, for example, about Navy and Air. And if you become a paying Patreon, you get 50% more guides. And then you get 50% better at the game. So subscribe and support us. And also go to our YouTube channel if you want to watch Biogold, the game. It was very exciting this year around.
It was amazing. I got to play this year. It was a lot of fun. You guys should check out the YouTube video, because it's all there. Like and subscribe.
And we had also so much production value.
Oh yeah.
We had the technicians and the drone footage.
Oh yeah, the drone was so cool. Like they're stepping it up so much.
I didn't realize we had a drone. I arrived late at night the first day.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, we've gotten drone footage.
Yeah, that was sick.
Very nice. So no snacks and beer. Well, I guess some beer will be arriving at some point.
I'm drinking energy drinks at this point. Starting the day off.
I have nature's energy drink. Coffee.
Coffee, nature's.
Laura, well, I guess that's also nature. The original energy drink.
Oh, fair enough. We can say that. The original.
Let's see here.
All right. We got Quaggo now telling us good luck. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. It will be interesting to see.
Sad you're not playing with us today.
Yeah, we will miss you. And if we see here, for example, let's see. Let me bring up the player map mode, and we can see which countries we have players on.
Oh yeah.
As you see, all of the Balkan countries are covered by Axis miners here, and the allies in turn have Brazil, for example, and Mexico, which extremely strong snus.
Yeah.
And Mexico and Brazil, for example, is real manpower powerhouses.
Oh yeah.
In contrast to like Hungary and Romania, which will get really strong tanks and be able to do stuff on the Eastern Front.
Yeah.
Here you get the Marines, the infantry. You can fill the line.
Absolutely. We have seen Brazil do like submarine strategies and stuff like that as well, which will be interesting to see, especially since we have Spain and other smaller players also going Navy.
Yeah, it will be interesting indeed. And we have seen some plays around like the Panama Channel. We had that at Bergagård where they said the Japanese player, Jacob in that case, said that, oh, we're going to push for Panama. Then at some point, they really won in the Pacific, got everything, even Hawaii, and then, no, let's not invade California. And from our viewpoint, they should have invaded California. But then again, they couldn't see, so...
I remember that. That game was, from the Soviets' perspective, that was such a fun game. Like, action, so all the way to the front, pushing through Europe. Yeah, Bergagård really was... terrific.
Yeah, it was really fun. And going over, we have presented the Spanish player, but if we are going from the top with the faction leaders, on the United Kingdom, we have Magnus. And that's an interesting choice for the UK. It's a bit new. He has played several major nations in the past as co-chair, but he has never played the UK. He has played Canada very well, though, and knowing he's going in as a solo UK player, he might be able to translate that experience a lot. And it will be interesting to see what he does with his United Kingdom, because that is the first.
Yeah, I especially like pointing out, like, he's going into United Kingdom solo. It is really one of those nations. You can play this solo, but it is a big, important country, and there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong. And you need to really do all the three major branches. You need air, you need navy, you need the army. So there's a lot to keep track of with the United Kingdom. We see Badger do it well all the time. Badger is one of the most experienced players and the most experienced UK player.
Also Navy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit of a PhD subject, right? The Navy and Hearts of Iron.
It'll be some big shoes for him to fill. But yeah, it'll be really interesting and certainly a learning experience. His plan here we get is he wants to have battle cruisers to counter Italy, and he wants carriers to kill Spain, and then he's going into lots of planes. He's going to try to support France and then attack North Africa. We're probably going to see the emphasis on navy and air then, in order to facilitate action from the other players rather than building like that huge army yourself and invading.
Much like in real life history, we will see airplanes and we will see navy from the United Kingdom. Yeah. And moving on to the big bad wolf, the heart of fascism in Europe, Germany, is played by Matthias and Yuri. Matthias played the second chair on Germany at Bergård, and now he is the first chair. And that's also one of those things. You have just recently played the second chair at Physical LAN, and now you're going to be the first chair. You have a lot of experience recently to take with you.
Yeah. And that's obviously very beneficial because you're up to date on the meta. But that's also the question then, do you change the meta or not? Do you go from second chair to first chair and you do the same thing that you saw your the senior first chair or whatever you want to call them do? Or do you change it up? Do you try something completely different because people will expect you to do what the previous Germany players did?
Yeah. And we have a tactic here of early assault guns and then medium tanks for Barb. And they will try to Sea Lion if they get their air superiority. And that's we have an interesting question about that as well from Mortal Vision about, is Germany allowed to Sea Lion before defeating the British fleet? And yes, they are technically, but I mean, do you want to? Because if you land and the British still rule the waves, but you manage to get like a little opening for a couple of hours, then you are going to have a lot of Germans that are stuck in Cornwall or something. So, yes, they are allowed to, but it's high risk, high reward again. We see here Germany is at the moment just churning out garrison troops.
Yes.
At some point they will start constructing other things. They have recently remilitarized the Rhineland here, which is problematic for peace in Europe because now we have a world tension at 4.9.
Yeah.
Which is kind of exactly what they want, because a lot of focuses become available at 5%, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
And you really want to keep the world tension somewhat low.
Oh yeah,
As the axis, because it unlocks a lot of decisions for the democratic countries.
Yeah. So the allies, if the world tension gets too high, will get to do decisions that increase their production. Specifically, they move from peacetime to wartime. They get more military production. And if you get that early, it can change a lot because you have those years before the conflict really breaks out. And if you can have all those years with increased production, that does make a difference.
And you can also bait people a bit because it ticks down. So I remember one time when I played, I don't know if it was some allied nation, and world tension went up. I went to like war production stuff. And then world tension ticked down eventually, and then my workers started to strike. So democracy has its challenges in regards to wartime production, but if world tension is low, it favors the Axis, at least in the early game, I would say.
Oh yeah.
Now we get here from Mortal Vision in the chat as well that the USA gets a lot of good focuses with raising tension and increased war support. And that's perhaps we should actually talk about the United States player.
Yeah. So the US are going to be played by two players, Mako and Irvin. And Mako has he's been real consistent since he joined the community. He's played every game. And last time he played Japan together with Jacob, and they were a powerhouse.
Really. Definitely. They really cleaned house in the Pacific at Bergod.
So now he's playing the United States. I can imagine him doing very well there. The United States is really, it's a huge country. It's the power crawl. Like you start off not being very involved, but you get the largest economy if you really build for that. And there's a lot you can do to min-max how much production you have. Yeah. And I'm assuming Mako will do that.
Yeah, and Irvin is new to the community, so welcome, and be nice to have you here in the community. And he's playing his first game with us, but he has some previous game experience.
Oh yeah.
So both Mako and Irvin is somewhat fresh members of Hygge HOI.
Yeah.
But Mako has, as you said, really made an impact, and he's also one of these very good faction leaders.
Yeah.
He's really tactical. He speaks to his team, and it will be an interesting United States.
Will Mako naval invade Japan on the 7th of December 1941? Well,
we will see about that. It's not entirely impossible, I would say.
I hope so.
Yeah. And as we see here, just to emphasize the difference, if you're perhaps not that knowledgeable about the game, then in the United States you have a democracy and you have elections, and you need support in Congress in order to pass certain decisions, certain things. And you need to spend a lot of political power to do that. So that's one of the challenges of the democratic nation, because you have the largest industry in the world, but you have the Great Depression, you have a disarmed nation, and you have a populace that really do not want to get involved in a war in Europe. Yeah. So it costs you political power and a lot of engagement in order to get the democratic support that you need to really start steamrolling in the war.
Exactly. That's really one of the fun games, or fun functions of this game, is that all the different nations have built in different like mini games that you need to do in order to get your nation to work, and it adds a lot of depth in order of how you build strategies. Yeah,
definitely. Let's check out. We see Spain here. I think the Spanish Civil War will be one of the first things to happen. The Army of Africa is being done at this point, which is the focus that gives the Franco troops in North Africa, because they generally only have these small infantry divisions, and they are not really anything to write home about.
Yeah.
But the Franco mountaineers that you get in North Africa is actually somewhat usable.
Yeah. I've never played Spain myself, so I'm not entirely sure how the Franco Mountaineers play.
Yeah, I did it once, but that was like one of my earliest games, and it didn't really go that well. I remember I got like a car list uprising, and everything went to hell, more or less.
Yeah.
But
hey, but something happened at least. I remember my first game played Mexico, and the Allies crushed so hard that by the time my paratroopers actually got to Europe, the Axis just surrendered immediately.
Yeah, I think I've played Spain, I've played Finland has been my comfort pick because I've got Finland 2 games in a row and it worked quite nice. And then Mako guided me through Winter War that I actually ended up winning, and so now I know the tactics. But it's been a long time since I actually played. I have been casting for so long now, so we'll see if I join a Blitz game at some point. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I think Finland is a good choice to have as a comfort nation. There's a lot you can do, but it's not overly complicated, and you still have like a large impact on the game.
Yeah, indeed, we have some fact knowledge in the chat from
Urban Banner.
Yeah, Urban Banner. We have.
He asks if you need you need 1, 2, 3 screens per capital roughly. We're talking about how you build your navy at this point. But according to the Admiral screen efficiency, it asks almost thrice as much. How come? I'm not sure why exactly it does that. We do have confirmation that in this mod it is still 1, 2, 3. Could just be a bug in how they present the information.
Yeah. It's good we have knowledgeable Navy players here.
Yeah, because that's not me.
Let's see, I'm gonna do like this so I actually can see the chat here. Because it's so small over there, so I'm sitting like this. Alright, moving on with the players. We have presented you the United Kingdom, the United States of America, the Germans, and perhaps the other part of the Axis in the south of Europe. We have Italy. Which is being played by Martin.
9-star general, and he played the UK in Beagle, and he did an excellent job there, which was very fortunate for the Allies since Japan became such a powerhouse. So he did a fantastic job as UK. He's obviously has a ton of experience, and he's going to be going tanks with Italy.
Interesting. We'll see how that pans out in North Africa especially.
Yeah.
And it's also interesting to see if he will be able to gain some advantage by having played the United Kingdom quite recently, because that is who he will be up against. So now he's on the other side of the Mediterranean, so to speak.
Yeah, and obviously every Italy player ever wants to do Sea Lion. He should know how to get that done, seeing as he's used to playing the UK as well.
Yeah. Interesting to see. A very glorious general-like photo I see here.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I have my medals. They are clinking.
Yeah.
I don't know how that affects the sound, but
I hope it comes through. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yes, and moving on, maybe back to the Allies and another very big nation in the Allies, or the Communist International rather. We have the Soviet Union. Which is being played by Knistan, Rosen, and Tvorik. A 3-player Soviet Union, but that is sorely needed because you have this whole front line that you need to keep a hold of, and you have to handle a lot of other things, espionage, economy.
The largest front line in the game. It can, in some games, it can stretch to truly absurd reaches depending on where you push and where you lose ground. It is incredibly fun to play Soviet. At least for me, it's probably like the favorite nation. Like you said, it is a lot of micro that's needed. So usually 3 or 4 players do it. Like in the beginning, it's not that much. When you're only at war with Finland, it's not that much. But as soon as the front line kicks in, it becomes so much to micromanage that you really do need more players.
And I mean, it really extends, like after Barbarossa, this front line is not that long.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the Germans, even if you have a very bad game as Germany, you are going to get to like about here maybe. And then the front really doubles, because then you need to keep a look out in like around Kharkiv and Rostov and these places, both as the Soviets and the Germans. So.
Yeah. You usually do try to hold that first line somewhere with Dnipro and Kiev. because that's like really the first place you can defend, and you have natural rivers, and it's a bit in, and then you just fall back to different rivers usually.
Yeah, I remember when I played second chair Soviets, we did defense from Riga to Kherson, basically, and we held the Dnieper. But you do have this little railway junction here with Vitebsk and Smolensk, and here you have just plains provinces and no rivers. So if you can push a couple of German panzer divisions through here and cut off, because it is a game of supply, right?
Yeah.
If you manage as Germany to take like this and this, then it will be very, very hard to supply the troops. Already now you see a bit of a strain on the supply along the southern part of the Dnieper. They will obviously build this up as we go on, but
but it is the ever like question with Soviet. Do you want to build up the supply so much that your troops actually are well supplied? Because Germany will take over that territory probably. And also, Soviet really is strapped for production. You don't have that much production to go around. So if you build up your supply chain, you are sacrificing something. You will have less tanks. You will have less infantry.
Speaking of which, we can actually have a look at what they are constructing. They seem a bit infrastructure focused at this point. Why can't I scroll in this?
Oh, it's bugged out, yeah.
I can't see what they are.
Try going to a different nation and then going back.
Okay, let's see. This
So,
didn't work either.
We have that Soviet they will go for an infantry build mostly, and with some air to go with that. Obviously, Soviet, you do have some air. You start with quite a few planes, and you usually build more. But going heavier into air is not always. It's not always done, because Germany will win air if they put any effort into it. But it still can work for Soviet to do it if you use them sparingly and you don't lose all your air in the beginning of the war. Because when the UK come in and everything, Germany will be a lot more hesitant to put all of their planes against you.
Yeah, and also we have a good information here from Mortal Vision in the chat that if you have the supply done correctly, you will also have less attrition that eats equipment.
Yeah.
So it's also an alternative cost. If you don't get the supply, if you don't have the resources, then you will suffer attrition, and then you lose infantry equipment for nothing rather than using it on the Germans.
Absolutely.
We see here they are building infrastructure in Ulaanbaatar and Balakovo, and I would say that definitely has to do with the resources, because if you check here, why are you building infrastructure in Ulaanbaatar? Well, you have steel, you have chromium, and as we said before, you have the oil fields here. This is very important. 2,100 oil in Azerbaijan.
Germany will absolutely want that. And also, since you're going to be losing the territory in your front, building infrastructure in the provinces further back will allow you to have better mills and sieves production there, so that you don't lose that when you lose your territory.
Yeah. And speaking of Mongolia, because that's where the Soviets were building infrastructure, on Mongolia we have Francis, which is a very experienced player, a very good player, and now playing a significantly smaller nation than he has done historically. And very interesting. He was on the winning team with the Soviets in the last game, and now he will be downgraded, so to speak, to Mongolia. But he will have the possibility on focusing much more on the smaller things, and also be a very good co-op on another country for the Soviets, because you will really synchronize your plays. Yeah,
I'm really hoping if Knistan and the Soviets go for infantry, I'm really hoping that Mongolia does go tanks, because it can be really tough to not have any tanks on the Eastern Front, because even if a lot of infantry really helps you to slow down the push of the Germans, the territory you do lose, you want some tanks so that when you find an opportunity to push back, you can take it. Yeah. And if you only have infantry, it becomes really hard to punish mistakes from the Germans.
Yeah, indeed. Now we have the outbreak of the Spanish Civil War. We see that we have volunteers coming in from Germany, and let's see what volunteers they are sending. Is it these, perhaps?
Oh yeah.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
We have... oh, they are in transit, of course. Or are they? Let's look over at Spain. No, they have only requested it, and it's paused. So it is probably
Okay.
this.
Yeah.
And we have 3 Mountaineer divisions. They're quite nice.
Yeah.
Logistics, headquarters, Pioneer, Cavalry Recon, Artillery 30 with. Would be nice to get them experienced and trained up for the Germans. I wonder what else we have. The Italians usually send some volunteers. Let's see. Yeah, they are even called Spanish Civil War, or SCW, and good infantry divisions, 30 with as well. No Mountaineers, but also very nice.
Oh yeah, they're definitely a big upgrade, yeah, the Allies are really hoping for a victory in the Spanish Civil War. It will help out the Soviets a whole lot. They get more mills if they win the war.
Yeah, we have that mechanic that you cannot lose the Spanish Civil War, so to speak. But if the Allies win the Spanish Civil War, then the nationalists can call it quits and give the Soviets 20 off-map military factories.
Yeah.
That will really be a boon for like the Winter War and also defending in Barbarossa. And that's also 20 military factories that the Axis won't have.
Yeah, and you get those military factories so early at a point where you want to be building civilian factories in order to make sure you have like enough of an economy to last throughout the entire war. It's such a big difference.
Let's see, we have here the Soviets have an army called España that is training. Also Mountaineers. Also a little bit cheaper than the German ones. We have pack artillery instead of regular artillery 26 combat with, but we have Mountaineers mostly.
Yeah.
That is going out from these countries.
It's not super surprising. Mountaineers are they're pretty damn good, and you have them like immediately. So they are your elite infantry when you start the game.
I wonder, the Japanese usually sends volunteers also, right?
Yes.
Or do they?
I'm pretty sure.
Because we had some new rules on the amount of troops you were allowed to send.
Yeah. Do we have the new rules? I am.
We are very excited about it. It's not released yet, and it's not released on the mod, especially. So we are not using it today, but I think it will have a potential of having big meta impact. I mean, the last expansion, like Trial of Allegiance, it has a lot of impact on the meta for like Brazil and Mexico and stuff, but on the broader scale of things, it doesn't affect us that much.
Yeah.
Because they are small countries on the other side of the Atlantic. Arms Against Tyranny, for example, had a very big effect on the meta with the Finnish Winter War and the CISU, and has completely switched up that game. So I think the Götterdämmerung might have a very high impact, considering it mostly affects Germany, which is a key player, to say the least.
Yeah. And we are off.
Yeah, we're off to the races in Spain. We see Madrid being occupied in a short manner by the nationalists here, and nothing too exciting going on yet. We have volunteer forces in transfer from Germany and Italy that will arrive in 2 days.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the Republican side has volunteer forces in transfer from the USSR that will be arriving at the same date. So soon the volunteer forces will start to meet each other on the battlefield. And that's when the real game starts, because you really want to be able to surround your enemy volunteer forces.
Yeah.
So they don't get these experienced troops that they can use later on in the game.
Yeah, exactly. They don't get that experience, and every division that you actually kill is a blow to the eventual preparedness for the war.
We get the news that Jacob is not sending any volunteer divisions to Spain. France have left Spain to rot, unfortunately. Very sad for the Republican side of the war.
Yeah.
I would even say that pretty much dooms the Allied chances of victory, because if you miss all of those volunteer divisions, that's like 33% of your fighting strength. So if Jacob is not sending volunteers, then I think the Allies can't win.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I shouldn't call it too early as I usually do. But
well, it's interesting to call it, and even if you're wrong, you know, at least you've called something. But yeah, I am not an expert on the Spanish Civil War. I should be. Like I do play Soviet, and we do participate, but I'm usually not the one handling the Spanish Civil War.
Yeah, we have the Soviet mountaineers here starting to push out a bit here. You usually get this fight around here, the race to the sea along Barcelona, like.
Yeah, exactly, because you want to cut off Barcelona and then get that out of the way.
Looking at the supply as well, like if you cut this railroad between Valencia and Tortosa, then it's hard for the Republicans to supply the front, especially now when Madrid has fallen, because all of the supply stems from your capital.
Yeah.
And since Madrid has fallen, the capital of Republican Spain is indeed Barcelona. So if you cut it off here, you have a big pocket of troops that have a hard time getting food and drinks.
Yeah.
We have the German volunteers.
German. Where do we have the Italian ones? Oh, right there.
Yeah, the Italians are here, and the Soviets are pushing up a bit here.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if there's any pockets there. The Italians are the closest to being surrounded, I think. But I don't see any particularly strong units in the corners of that pocket, so I don't think Italy is going to lose anything right here.
Yeah,
well, we'll see. They're pushing further in.
We have a question in the chat here. Is Portugal AI? And yes, they are in this case. I don't know if we've had a player Portugal.
No, not
probably
while I
not.
was
It's
here,
not a country that we use.
Yeah, maybe way back, you know, when we did have Sweden for a while, like during that era.
It is one of the few AI countries that you can declare war on, though, right? Because if you go Axis Spain, you can annex it, I think.
Okay.
Or I'm not sure, but I think you're allowed to. Via focus tree.
Yeah.
Of course.
And we might see that this game, actually.
Okay. Yeah, we get some information from the technician's booth here that Badger's plan is to annex Portugal, and he will get half of his military factories from there, since he is indeed focusing on naval dockyards and submarines, as we've heard before.
All right. Well,
we'll
be seeing new things from both Spain and Poland, and
slowly chugging on in the Spanish Civil War. And we'll see as the war goes on here. We do see the nationalists doing rather well in regards to casualties. And as we said before, you have pretty much abandoned the Republicans at this point.
Yeah.
Some divisions coming in from Japan here that will be landing on the 18th of August. I wonder how much action they're going to see on the front, but...
yeah, I mean, it's holding a bit, so they'll have time to get some experience, but probably not too much.
Oh, well, we do see a French division here.
Oh.
Actually.
We have been lied to.
Yeah, we have been lied to indeed. We do have 4 French divisions here, so Jacob must have changed his mind. And this is a solid division. So
that's a lot of soft attack. Yeah.
So let's see if they're going to try to do something with that. We do see the divisions, the volunteer divisions, actually going up against each other here now. We have the German divisions on... Yeah, they are taking Valencia now. And we have the Italian divisions over here. Yeah, they are actually a bit away from each other. Most of the Allied divisions are up here, and most of the Axis divisions are here. So you don't see much fighting on the front between the major countries.
It seems like they're more focused on gaining experience for themselves rather than stopping their opponents from getting experience. And if you don't think that you can surround and kill off the volunteer divisions, it's not good to put a lot of energy into it if you don't succeed.
Yeah. Speaking of experience, we do see the Soviet mountaineers starting to gain some experience. They are now regular 1. And if they earn some amount of veterancy, that can be good for the Soviets, because the next thing that will happen after this is the declaration of war with Poland and the big outbreak of the World War. But soon thereafter, you will have the Winter War.
Oh, yeah.
And since Finland does not participate in the Spanish Civil War, they will be the same. That's the thing. They will probably do the same thing pretty much every time. Maximum Caesar focuses in. But the Soviets, if you show up with 5 veteran mountaineer divisions with full artillery, or you don't have any of those divisions because they have died, that really makes a big difference.
Oh yeah. Veterancy is like a big boost in combat. And those are all percentages, and you throughout the game you stack up more and more bonuses to make your troops really effective. But at the beginning of the game, you're very limited in how many of those bonuses you can get. So getting the veterancy makes a bigger difference.
Indeed. And now we see here the Soviets have started purging their generals. That is also something that really affects you as the Soviets, because you do have a very big industry, you do have a lot of manpower, but Stalin has a bit of a problem with his generals, so to speak. So at the start of the 13th or in the 1930s, if you don't want a civil war in the Soviet Union, which you don't, you need to purge a lot of the enemies of the state within, so to speak. And when you do that, you lose a lot of good generals, because Stalin kills them basically. So it takes a long time to recuperate your army from the effects of the Great Purge.
Yeah, and if you're not careful, you can end up purging the wrong people for your plan. So you need to be aware of what it is you're getting rid of and what it is you're keeping. And every time you do, like, there's also bonuses or like a negative impact on different parts of your army, navy, or air force. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into the purge.
I mean, you need to be careful. Like, if you have a tank, you want Shukov, right? You can't purge that guy. And if you want to do certain focuses, then you can't purge certain people. And also you need to assassinate Trotsky as well, and you take stability hits, because he writes evil things about Joseph Stalin from a newspaper in Mexico. As long as he does that, you lose stability and stuff. So, so that's another part of it.
We do have a pocket being cleaned up here, but
some militia,
troops.
some Republican militia dying there, and we do see some salients towards Barcelona. The thing is that as long as you control a harbor, you can surrender your volunteer troops, because you just go home, right? And then you won't lose them. So what the Axis wants to do is they want to take the harbors here, because then the French are stuck. So even if you surrender in the Civil War, then they will die or become prisoners of war in that case. And then you can't use them. But as long as you control one of the harbors, you can just call it quits and say, okay, we're out, you won the Civil War, and you won't lose your divisions.
And that would be a blow for any nation. I think it would particularly be bad for Soviets mountaineers not to get back, just because they have the Finnish War coming up, and they want those mountaineers to be part of breaking the Finnish line.
And that's the thing. Like, the Soviets want their experienced mountaineers in order to use in the Winter War, and I mean, for France, for example, they are a considerable part of your fighting power, because you are a smaller country. So both like France and the Soviets, I guess Japan can use them a bit, but they will get so much experience in the Sino-Japanese War. And Germany, I mean, obviously it would be a bit sad if you get like 4 mountaineers surrounded, but I mean, it's not like it's going to...
No, you're still going to take Poland.
I mean, the wars that come after that are easy to the point where it doesn't really matter. But, I mean, it's a hard blow to morale. And also, like, if Germany gets their volunteers surrounded, the Axis have a big chance of actually winning the Civil War. And then you might see other things happening. But as of now, no news in the Spanish Civil War. The nationalists are chugging on as expected, and they are probably quite soon to win this conflict. We have a 10-to-1 ratio in casualties, 373 casualties on the Republican side, and only 31,000 casualties on the nationalist side. So definitely moving in the favor of Francisco Franco here.
Did the Japanese volunteers arrive? Do we have them?
Yeah, let's check it out. Tag over to Japan here. I thought Spanish volunteers. They are indeed here, and they are on.
Oh, they're all
the
down
south.
here.
They are going towards Granada.
Okay, so yeah, they're in a safe place. They're together. Yeah. They're just farming experience.
And I mean, these harbors will probably fall, but in this pocket there is no, no allied volunteers, so it doesn't really matter.
No. Mm-hmm.
And
why does it build? Yeah, also
it's
a fair amount of
regular template, but it's interesting because he goes infantry, and Germany and the Soviet Union went mountaineers. So you have some different priority on who you want to be veteran.
Does Japan start with mountaineers? I mean, they start with Marines, right?
Yeah, that might be true, to be honest. Or they have a mountaineer division here. So they have...
Not
they
a good
do
one,
have it.
But yeah.
And they are training a lot of just regular line infantry.
Yeah.
We can see here 30 combat with 2 pack arty, 4 arty. So they are a bit cheapening out on parts of the artillery corps there, but really solid divisions here, 33 in production. They will be going to China.
Yeah. And you don't, like, against China, you don't need the absolute best. It will make a difference how fast you can push, but really, you just need to find those large pockets to kill off as many Chinese as possible, just to trigger all the waves and get through the war.
Yeah, we did see quite a significant meta shift in the Sino-Japanese war during Bergagod as well.
Yeah.
We saw that the Japanese did a naval invasion of the south of China.
Yeah.
And went up towards like Chongqing and those places, and I think it was the fastest China war we've seen in a long time, and it really surprised the United States as well, I think, because Jacob from there really steamrolled the entire Pacific, and that started out with very good place in the China war.
Yeah.
But this time we hear that the plan is a late China war to try and delay the Great Wakes. And to drop Singapore with paratroopers.
Okay.
And then go for the Pacific Islands during Tora. With both paratroopers and amphibian landings. So that's quite an elaborate plan from Japan. But we have seen elaborate plans from Japan earlier, and they have worked out.
I think that would be super interesting to see. I've only played the Pacific or the Indo-Pacific conflict from the other side. I've never played Japan. But it would be so interesting to see how you would defend the island from paratroopers as well. Yeah,
we'll see here. The race for the harbors is continuing on, but I think the volunteers have gone home, except the French that still have some on the front here. Or we have the Soviets as well here, but they are basically on the harbor, so they can go home whenever they want to. If they are going to surround any allied volunteers here, then it's the French that might be in a bit of trouble, but by the looks of things now, this is going to be quite an uneventful Spanish civil war. The nationalists will win in about the order you would expect them to.
Yeah. They do have air deployed here, right?
Let's have a look at the air, and it's green, and we are at an Axis country point of view, so it is indeed. Well, let's see. How can I check the
you click there,
zone there?
No,
this is the actual fight there.
Yeah,
we have an air superiority of like 70%, and that's the bombers making the difference, because the fighters are about the same, but when it comes to close air support and bombing, then the Axis have the edge, and that is really also affecting these battles in their favor. We do see here the Franco mountaineers from North Africa taking Tortosa, and if they do, it's actually a bit of a ways away for the Soviet mountaineers, so they might be in a bit of danger, but and you see here they are trying to pin the Soviets here so that they cannot intercept them, because I mean the militia is not going to win against Soviet mountaineers, but you really
exactly. So the danger is not that your divisions lose the fight, it's that all the AI divisions around you lose at the same time. Yeah.
But we see here that Knistan has wisened up to the shenanigans of Badger here and actually ran in the Mountaineer division between Barcelona and Tortosa. And it will get retreated, but it will probably still be able to. But we do see, I mean, these French divisions. Now it's starting to get a bit hairy for the French, because if Barcelona falls, then the axes are 2 tiles off from the last harbor.
Yeah.
Or is there even a harbor in Girona?
I don't know. I've never retreated from Girona.
No, actually Barcelona is the last harbor. So this can be quite grim.
Yeah, we see multiple Soviet mountaineers standing there now.
They have reacted to the imminent threat, but I wonder if it might actually be too late. Or I don't think it will, because it's no volunteer troops here. The German volunteers, if they were here, for example. Easy for us to say, but now we see the Soviets evening out the front, and we see they are starting to move there. So I think they will be able to keep their lives.
Yeah, but, I think so. It's really hard to actually force the last harbor. So I don't think it's gonna happen, but obviously you want to try, because it's such a it's the biggest victory you can get.
One thing you could do, though, if you look at the Germans, technically they don't need to take the last harbor, because if they take the airfield here and they go only up to the French border, for example, then you still have them surrounded. Then you don't need the harbor. Yeah,
then it's just a standard pocket, and
and that works of course as well.
Yeah,
I think. Well, I mean, at this point. There are no French volunteers left anyway, so I think they've actually. I think they've actually went home.
Yeah.
No.
They're in transit. They're retreating from up north to be closer to Barcelona. Probably being a little bit scared right now.
Yeah, I mean, if I was France, I would be a wee bit scared. You see, the Soviets here have almost no org, and the Germans are here. I think they will be able to get out by the skin of their teeth, but it is.
It's like when you need to retreat can be such a difficult thing to call, because like you think that the territory you're going to be moving through has the same supplies when you went there, but it doesn't. So all your troops are going to be slower. And
looking at the supply here, you see actually quite well supplied. The Republican side, it's rather that supply does not favor the Axis here, but they are going to lose Barcelona now, so it will be interesting to see whether or not the French get there in time. And by the looks of things now, it might actually be hard for them. 97, 98, but they need to be able to hold it as well and not be pushed out.
Yeah.
But
Chad is throwing you a little bit of shade. You're gonna call it?
I'm going. I have already called it in favor for the nationalists, and I think I will be right in that regard. But I also said that no Allied divisions will probably die.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to doubt my call there, but But now we do have 3 Soviet mountaineers in the harbor and the red bubbles for the Axis. So I think they will be able to escape still.
Yeah.
But
well, if the Soviets die, you can still do that thing where you say, well, the Comintern is not technically part of the Allies.
True. But I think they have been able to stabilize. But it was a bit scary there for a while. I have agreement here from Urban Banner as well, but he says I have a bad track record when it comes to calling stuff, and that is
news.
true. I never called it for the Axis, I think, though, at Berg und Hof, even though they were dominating for a while.
No. I think the year previous, though, it was such a nail biter that when it ended, we originally called it for the wrong faction, but when we looked at the score, it was the other faction who won. Yeah.
I remember the first Berg und Hof when the Axis won.
Yeah.
Then they won by points and by quite a low margin as well.
Yeah.
This time we actually had a surrender.
Yeah.
But it was just as exciting, I would say.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And now we have all the troops in the harbor and the volunteers are out, and no one died today. Or well, a lot of Spanish militias, obviously, but none of the volunteers have died. I think we have the.
Giving them a cool icons.
They are in transit back. 5 divisions are going back to the USSR.
Yeah.
And in the case of France, we have 4 divisions going back, so no casualties. And the regular casualties heavily in favor of the nationalists. 709 casualties for the Republicans and 59 for the nationalists. So
the Japanese
civil war. The Japanese are still here.
Oh, well.
And that's also a caster skill there. If you press quit, then you quit the game. So you have to press observe.
I would 100% done that. Yeah.
Because then if you're tagged in as the country, it loses, right?
Yeah.
Let's see.
So we could do a vote on the chat, like who's going to win at this point. If you are favoring the Axis or the Allies.
Yeah, it's still very open. And
we have just the first small tipping of the scales with how the Spanish Civil War has gone, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, even you wouldn't call it at this point.
No, I would definitely not. I would say that the Spanish Civil War is a slight Axis victory.
Yeah.
It is an Axis victory is what is to be expected.
Yeah,
but slightly more effective than an average Axis victory, but nothing extraordinary on either side.
Yeah, I agree. So you can go to menti.com. You can type in the code that you see on the screen, and you can vote on whether you think the Axis or Allies are going to win. Yeah, at this point, I'm very much undecided myself.
I wouldn't say either side had the edge. Like, looking at the tactics, I do think that the nationalist Spain idea of letting the Allies have Gibraltar and Malta while you join the Axis and have the possibility to take Gibraltar, I think that is one of the things that might define it a bit, because if they manage to draw in like loads of Allied convoy shipping, and the Allies doesn't notice, and they run out of convoys, and they use that to push somewhere. It can be very high impact. But I can also see a scenario in my head where you have Gibraltar in Allied hands still, late game, and you have like 20 divisions of American Amtraks landing in Valencia or something, and it's just GG for Spain. For me, I think just based on the teams and what we've heard from their strategies, I feel like I'm slightly gonna. I think Axis is going to come out ahead, but it's by like a really small margin. We have seen some Allied domination lately, though. I remember when we did the first Bergod Hof. We did the balancing. When we talked about it before, we said that the Axis always wins, right? We had Axis win chance of like 65% almost. And we had this very tight game at the first Bergod Hof, and the Axis managed to win in the end anyway, by points. And then we said like, okay, how do we do this? And I don't know what the Central Committee did, but then we saw a lot of balanced games, and now we have seen an Allied edge, I would say, from the caster point of view. A lot of games where the Axis have really dominated, ran out of steam on the Eastern Front, and fell to some sort of D-Day.
I feel like that's usually what it has come down to. Maybe that's a biased perspective as a Soviet player. But it really feels like you need to actually cap the Soviets if you're gonna have a chance otherwise, or like win convincingly. But I don't think we've ever had a game where Germany really does convincingly win against the Soviet, while at the same time Japan convincingly wins in the Pacific. It's usually one or the other, and one has to make up for the other.
True. We have a result. It's clean 50-50.
Reasonable.
Which is reasonable at this point, I would say, because it has not gone so long. So we will see how that pans out, and we also have Badger for an interview. We'll see here if I can get the technical stuff working. This time we have no technicians booth, but we have this headsets, and we have PT, and we have the Discord channel, so we'll see how that works.
let's see here. We are not in here.
Yeah, I think you need to go into the Discord as well.
Yeah.
And also mute me, I guess. Yeah, we have a Badger in picture here at least. Yeah, hello, you can hear me. We are trying to get Stein into the interview room, but I will start out a little bit here. And we saw a Spanish civil war that ended in your favor. What do you think? Was it to your liking, or is it something else that you would have wanted? Yeah, and as we saw, no volunteer divisions from either side died. Is that correct? Oh. Okay, okay. We do have a trouble here. People in chat saying that you are muted and we can't hear you, which is of course problematic. Let me see if I need to change my output on Discord. If you can switch to another background, PT, and I will go into Discord and switch the...
Try now.
All right, hello.
Hello, is it working
Say
now?
something, Badger.
Yeah, it's
Do
working.
you hear him, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we do.
Okay.
Well, I will just run through the questions again then, so they can hear your answers. What do you think of the civil war? Did it go as expected? Are you satisfied with your results?
I am. It went according to plan. I was hoping, just for the fun of it, to end it in 36, but I think it was the 12th of January, so that was a job well done. So I was happy with it.
Yeah, and also we hear that you have some audacious strategies. I get information from the technicians booth here that you have an idea to run carriers. Would you mind telling me about that?
Oh, not carriers. That would be crazy, but no, I'm not carriers. But
Not carriers.
no, I have and I guess just round off the Spanish Civil War and saying, but another war goal that we achieved was to get the organizer on the Italian general. So, and he managed to get it just before we ended it. So that was a very good thing. That will help him a lot in the North African campaign later. But yeah, no, I'm going for a naval build, like I did a couple of months back when I played Spain last time. But I'm mixing a naval build with medium armor as well. So that's going to be very interesting. And
you will join the Axis, I presume?
Yes. No chicken volunteer Spain here.
Yeah. That sounds
Glory. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So the plan is to go for a surface fleet, I'm gonna say I'm not gonna build a single military factory in the game. I'm just gonna build naval dockyards. So I'm a very heavy naval build, and the plan is to build a surface fleet until I have like a full stack with destroyers, and then I'm going for a submarines after that. So the plan is to kill all escorts of all the allied players with hit and runs, and then raid them to smithereens, basically. And then I'm gonna have medium tanks, like really shitty template, but still medium tanks to defend myself against a D-Day, because they will go for me surely.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And I've heard that you are going to let them keep Gibraltar and Malta. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the plan. We don't want to take it unless we need it for strategic purposes. So the plan is to let them keep it, and basically just keep it as a weak spot in the armor for the allies, so we can raid them constantly.
Because it's for me that sounds like an interesting choice. If you're scared of a D-Day coming for you, and you're letting them keep Gibraltar.
It's kind of like a double-edged sword, because if they keep Gibraltar and Malta, we have really, like throughout the game, we can just harass them and kill some convoys, and they can't really do much about it, because we can have naval bombers on the coastline. So they can't really stop us from raiding them if they have Gibraltar and Malta. So it will be like a constant flow of some think convoys through the UK. So I think he would even consider like leaving Malta and Gibraltar after a while if it works well for us.
Interesting. It will be
Yeah.
fun to see how it pans out. We are
Yeah.
going to look at an exciting Spain this game, no doubt about it.
Yeah, keep tabs on the sunk convoys by I think the convoy sinking will really take off around early 43. That's
Yeah.
when it will happen a lot.
I will keep my eye on it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We have
Yeah.
a cat coming into the stream here.
You're being replaced by a cat.
Yeah, thank you for joining us for this interview, and
Yeah.
good luck
Yeah.
further in the war.
Thank you. Have fun, guys.
Bye. So there. Yeah, and next interview we will have Stern joining us as well.
I think it's just the issue of microphone. Because I could hear everything. I'm not sure if that microphone picks up the
Yeah, I
questions
think we need to
perfectly.
mute each other as well. We'll look at this during lunchtime, I think.
Yeah.
Also, we have some observations in the chat. Rare Naval Spain always appreciate the effort Badger puts in, and we do as well, both logistically outside and inside the game.
Yeah, he is one of the serious preppers. He does a lot of preparation. So we'll be seeing a lot of Navy from Spain.
I am still very interested though in this. I mean, to me it's kind of contradictory when he says that, oh, I am scared of a D-Day. That's what I'm worried about. They will definitely come for me for a D-Day.
Yeah.
And he doesn't build military factories. He goes medium tanks, and he's going to let the Brits keep Gibraltar and Malta.
Yeah, he's placing a lot of faith in his teammates doing well and occupying the enemy for a bit at least.
I guess if he manages to, or if the Axis manages to win in North Africa, we haven't talked a lot about North Africa, but
that's true.
Considering these naval strategies and naval shenanigans from the Mediterranean countries, this is going to affect a lot of the war.
Oh yeah.
Because if the Allies win in North Africa and take all this,
yeah,
then you're going to be in trouble, because if they have Gibraltar, they have Malta, they have North Africa, then, I mean, at some point the submarines...
Yeah, I mean, you just have free reign over where you want to attack. Like, the Allies would have like a possibility of D-Day in Spain, Italy, or France. You can't defend all of those places. They could even split them up if they really wanted to. It's we'll see how North Africa goes. I feel like it's usually it does end up with the Allies, but it can take a long time.
Yeah. Also, again in North Africa, we haven't really seen this. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably to get planning bonus, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But we have seen some interesting North Africa campaigns the last games, because historically, or quite a while back now, but like half a year ago during our Grand Games, we always had a stalemate. Like these two tiles at El Alamein, you would see just the tanks pushing against each other until one side either breaks or Barbarossa starts and the Germans have to go, basically.
Exactly.
And nothing really happens unless one side just breaks.
Yeah.
But we have seen like naval invasions of Tel Aviv, some tries around like the Strait of Hormuz.
And we've seen everything from the Germans and the Axis not committing enough to North Africa, so that, like you said, they can't really secure it before Germany has to pull back. We've also seen the Allies try to appear weak in order to get the Axis to push forward and then encircle them. A lot of different plays have been tried in North Africa, and it'll be interesting to see what they choose this time.
One of the plays that will be tried out in North Africa, we get here on our second screen, is that Germany will only be sending assault guns, which is good against infantry, but I doubt that it's going to be enough.
Yeah, you usually from the Allies have some pretty excuse me, have some pretty strong divisions in North Africa, just because the standard really is for South Africa and Canada to go some pretty good tanks and just get out a few of those divisions to hold El Alamein. And that is a strategy that has worked, because it's really difficult to push through El Alamein against tanks.
Yeah, we do have another speculation here from Petey that the Allies might actually try to attack before France has fallen. Because if the Germans only send assault guns and the Allies have strong tanks on the front, Germany is going to be busy going towards Paris and taking Poland.
Yeah.
And if they make a good push, then if they take like Tobruk and Benghazi, it's going to be super hard for the Axis to actually get back there.
Absolutely. And we'll see how well they can coordinate that. I've played North Africa a fair amount from the miners' perspective, and it makes, like you said earlier in the stream, it makes such a huge difference when you are next to the players that you are cooperating with. Sitting next to Canada as South Africa made a huge difference in how you were able to push through Africa. We'll see how well they can coordinate that now.
I mean, it's so nice to have, that's the best part about Berg Hof. Like, if you're, what focus do I go? When do I need to click this? You always have someone that can run to you. You can always sit next to and see exactly what your players are doing. So that's very nice. We have a question in chat. Which country is Jacob playing? And Jacob is playing France. So we haven't presented him actually, so we might just go ahead and do that, because this is one of the countries that is going to come into play a lot. And Jacob is one of our more experienced players at this point. He doesn't have the amount of stars that many of the real big veteran generals have, but he has also been part of checking the balance for the mod, and he has had a lot of awards in his days, so he's one of our strongest players indeed. Usually does a massive impact on these very big countries like Germany, Japan, UK. Innovative preparatory player, switches up the meta a lot, and now he's playing France. What do you think?
I think he's going to do a great job. He's going to do infantry pre-war, and then post cap he's going to be doing mechanized infantry. I'm sure he has tinkered a lot with the specific divisions in order to make sure he gets maximum amount of efficiency out of them. And we have occasionally seen France really hold out and force Germany to take way longer than they want to. If it's true that we're gonna see Germany only send assault guns, Germany is placing more effort into France. Maybe that's because Jacob is the one playing it.
I would say so. I mean, we said that, like, is Germany committing too little to North Africa? And I think they might be, but if I was Germany, I would be more scared of Jacob France, because it can really take a long time. And also, it is one of those where we have a capitulation mechanic. So if you actually don't manage to take France, you need to settle and give off-map military factories. And,
and that is not what you want as Germany in that scenario. And
I mean, it's a terrible timing as well for Germany. If you lose the Spanish Civil War, like, okay, it sucks, but if you have to give off-map military factories to France and can't take France, then that can cripple you, because it's not that far off.
Exactly. And Jacob is a scary player. I remember was it like 2 years ago, year and a half ago, he shifted the meta for Soviet, as he was preparing for at that point. And his infantry artillery strategy just completely stopped the Germans dead in their tracks, and they just couldn't push the line, and it completely upended the game.
Yeah, we have a question in the chat. Hey guys, thanks for the stream and great organization. Thank you for joining us and watching this grand game. Can you go through the countries and who plays /teams? Thanks. Yeah, we have went through some of the major players. We can in a short manner. We have Magnus on the UK playing alone. So that will be interesting. He has never done it before, but he has been a player with us a long time, so he has the experience. On Germany, we have Matthias and Yuri. And Matthias played second share last game, so it will be interesting to see if that can translate to success now. And on the United States, we have Mako and Erwin, both new players to our community, but both very competent players. Mako has played a lot with other communities and have had very high impact in our games as well, even if he has been with us for a short time. So strong United States.
Absolutely.
And Italy, the other big bad in the Axis that we have talked about, is played by Martin, which is one of our most veteran generals, very good player, and he will be scary indeed for the allies in North Africa and on the seas of the Mediterranean.
Very much so. We have the Soviets as well as one of the bigger ones, where we have Knistan, Rosen, and Tvorik.
Yes, and 3-player Soviet Union. You will get a very long front line, so you really need those extra people.
Yeah.
And they will try to make something good out of this nation. Knistan has not prepared that much. We've heard some rumors about, but they are going to go some infantry build, and they are going to do classic Soviet. Hold the Dnieper, move back, and eventually Axis runs out of steam outside Moscow. You push them back and you win, probably. The plan here.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that they actually take Finland, because that is the one thing you can do to really control the length of the front line is if you manage to take all of Finland and hold a little part in the north instead of creating a Finnish line in the north and a German line in the east. It changes a lot in terms of how many troops you have per region.
Speaking of which, the Finnish player Jonte, the sauna master, which is Jonte, is one of the players that we have not yet presented, and he is a very experienced general. He has played with us for a very long time, and he played the Soviets at the last Bagod Hof, so he has been on the other side of this war.
Absolutely.
And last time at Bagod Hof, we saw a very strong Finnish Winter War. They almost eked out the victory in the end, but they held out for a very long time. So let's see if he can translate that to a win for Finland. But he has never played Finland before.
No.
Which is interesting. A blind spot for one of our most experienced players.
Absolutely. And we'll see if that comes into play. Finland is not a large nation, but there's a lot of tricky business that goes on with the front lines and how you set up your defense. So there are absolutely some things you need to know in order to not make some mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of this mechanic of public trust, for example.
Yeah.
Where you have, when you transition to another leader, like you want to put Mannerheim in charge, if I remember correctly, and then you increase the trust in the government, and when you have a very high trust in the government, then you get 10% recruitable population, and that's very good for Finland. Not many people. Stability war support is also good, of course. But also you get CISU, and CISU is very good because that means you get division attack on core territory and division defense on core territory. Yeah. So once you get this, and you also get this, like the ski stuff, let's see here, where they are. There, long range patrols. Yeah. Then you get a support battalion that is very, very good in the winter. And if you also utilize the Sami with the Sami Pathfinders, where you get the winter attrition and also minus 10 supply combat penalties on core territory, then you really become unbeatable on core territory during the winter. Yeah. And that's the thing with Finland, that if you play it correctly, it is very hard for the Soviets to actually break through, but you need to keep a hold on so many things. You need to fill out these lines between the lakes, and also you need to do fallback lines and utilize the lakes to your advantage to shorten the front. And it's obviously very hard to win the Winter War as Finland, but it has become significantly easier with Arms Against Tyranny, which is this medal here. And the Soviets have gotten some buffs with this medal, so I have both the fronts of the Finnish Winter War here.
Yeah, so for those wondering, the Winter War is it's not, Finland doesn't have to beat the Soviets, they just have to survive, and the Soviets have to rack up a number of casualties in order to get Finland to capitulate. It's also not allowed for the Soviets to do naval invasions or paradrops behind the lines in order to to take like cap points,
Yeah.
victory points. So you really need to like slug it out on the front lines and get a lot of kills.
Yeah. And that's also very hard for Finland because Finland is one player and Soviets are three.
Yeah.
And since the Soviets are not engaged in any other wars at that point, then you can have 3 Soviet players checking the organization on every Finnish division and microing everything.
Yeah.
You as Finland just have to react.
Yeah, I think we usually did it that we had the industry controller, like the national focus controller, like like the general macro of the nation, and then we had 1 or 2 players doing the Finnish war.
We have a tip here from Urban Banner that if you ban the communists as Finland, then you can hire the minister who gives you 500 manpower per week.
Oh.
And that's interesting. Let's see how the cabinet looks here. We have army XP gain, we have factory output, political power game, and fascist support. So we will see a fascist Finland in quite a few days. And we also have another fascist support. So they have gone full daily fascist support here so that they can transition to fascism as early as possible. And then they will be able to start doing a lot of decisions and focuses, I guess.
I would love to see Finland be the leader of the Axis again.
Yeah, we had that last game, actually.
Yeah.
We had the faction leader of the Axis was Finland for quite some time.
Yeah.
And that is also one of those, like, if you win the Winter War, then you only have this little front here.
Yeah.
And the Germans can pre-place, or they can't pre-place, but when you join the Axis, then the Germans can really just land here, and it's quite easy to take Leningrad or go around and take Leningrad.
Yeah.
Like, because you have the supply here, so then you send like some Finnish winter divisions, like they go around here, take this, German tanks, and Leningrad is in trouble. But if the Soviets win, then you get this front instead.
Yeah.
And that's very much longer.
Yeah, and like you pointed out earlier, Finland gets a lot of buffs to like to fight in the winter and to have supply during the winter. So, and the Soviets, like we talked about earlier, they have a maximum amount of production for like infrastructure and supply.
Yeah.
So in order to fight in Finland, you want to build supply there, but you don't want to spend the production to build that supply.
And I think the Finnish usually build a supply hub. Let's see if he has done the meta thing, built a supply hub in Oulu.
Yeah.
Because then you have some troops here, you hold that on this line of the river, and then
Yeah, and it just becomes so much harder to push through all what would otherwise be like empty, easy tiles.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. We have a speculation here in the chat that it's a bold investment of Finland to go for 2 spies, and indeed they have. And they are both spying in Leningrad.
Yeah.
So they might be trying something here. I remember that time when I actually won the Winter War as Finland. It was because the Soviets did a very aggressive push from Leningrad towards Viipuri.
Yeah.
They ran out of steam around here, and then they had no organization, so I could push back, take Leningrad, and win. So that might be something that they are going to try, to actually take Leningrad. But I think the Soviets have learned now from actually losing a couple of winter wars, not only to me, but to others as well, that you don't really want to push from Leningrad. Because if you fail the push, then...
Yeah, and Urban Banner here says they go for lowered entrenchment for the Soviets, but investing in civs before Winter War can be risky. So spies can affect it in a lot of different ways, but entrenchment is one of them. So you want spies and counter spies. It's not just about breaking the codes and stuff like that. It's about the network that you build.
You can see here, for example, we have 2 Finnish spies spying on Leningrad, for example, and if we go over to the Soviet point, if you see these divisions here, plan preparation attack bonus, you get minus 10% here from the enemy intel network, as you can see, and once that increases, then you will get more and more debuffs to your plan preparation.
Yeah.
Which is bad for them, because then they cannot push out of Leningrad.
Yeah.
And that's what the Finns want, so hence the spies.
Yeah.
And let's see what the Soviets are doing to counter this with their spy network. Because they are spying in Helsinki.
Yeah.
And I don't know, because you're not going to cap the government, right? You don't need the collaboration.
Not for the first war, no.
So they really should be spying here, because you don't. The Finns, for example, if we look over at the finish line, the preparation, they get no preparation penalty from spy network, because the Soviets are only spying in Helsinki. So the spy here, Serafima, whatever her name is, doesn't reach Viipuri. It stops at Kemi. So the Finnish troops outside Viipuri, they gain as much planning as they would if there were no Soviet spies here. So that's a bit of a miss from the Soviets, I would say. They are also doing counter-espionage and some in the Baltics. So
the Soviets have like a large group of choices in order to where they want to spend their spies. There's a lot of things that you can you can do. We do have we can actually do a poll for who will win the Finnish war, so we can get some thoughts from our chat, see who they think will win.
Definitely. And in the meanwhile, we do have some Finns in the chat that say, my city, Oulu, will hold. We will see about that. It's not entirely impossible, because usually the northern front is left to its own.
Yeah, exactly. Since in the first war, you only need to rack up the kills. It doesn't matter how much territory you take up there. The real question will be if it holds in the second war.
Yeah. And we have another question, or another speculation from Finland, that we must believe, or no, there. I hope my city Kuopio will hold too. And I don't know where that is located actually, but
me neither.
But it's not so far from Oulu, I heard. Perhaps it's not even on the map. It might be a small town.
Yeah, I don't know.
We have a speculation here that maybe the Soviets are going for Cypher, and that's why they have the spy in.
We should be able to see that, right?
Yeah, they probably are. Yeah, they are decrypting the cipher. But I think they could decrypt it. Oh no, they need a spy in the capital to decrypt it, right?
I don't.
Because if they could,
so.
About the center of Lower Finland, between the lakes.
Yeah.
There.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, that one will probably hold. It is a supply hub though, so I think the Soviets will be gunning for your hometown, unfortunately. But if we see the front line here, the Finns will place troops here, hold this river, and that's why you need to utilize the lakes, because you don't have the troops as Finland.
Yeah.
So you need to have like these two, because here, for example, it's only 2 tiles that you need to defend between the lakes. Yeah. Here it's only 1. One, and here is only 2 as well, and this is also 1 long tile, so you can just move back and still have this. So you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 12 or so tiles.
Yeah.
But if you lose the Winter War and you get this new front, then you will never be able to fill the front, or well, you will when Barbarossa breaks out. But that's why it's very important to move back and have the fallback lines in between the lakes, because you don't want to have a fallback line like here with the 4 tiles. Yeah. But you do the fallback line here, and then you might give up Viipuri, for example, have a fallback line here and here. Yeah. So we'll see how it pans out. 67% of you actually think that Finland will win this, so we have high confidence in Jonte's abilities. Yeah. And perhaps we should look over a bit on the Pacific. We have been on the Finnish Winter War for quite some time here. We do have the Japanese player and the Manchukuo player that we have not talked about, I think. Manchukuo is being played by Joachim, and will be playing a supporting fiddle to the Japanese player here. And I think that as he has played Manchu twice before, he does have some experience with the country, but I don't think they will go big Manchu. Or maybe they will. We will see. But this feels like a Japan that would like to keep control of the Chinese mainland in order to utilize it themselves. But
you really do have to have a very generous Japanese player in order to for them to go big Manchu, because usually Japan wants to grab all of that to have a stronger industry.
Yeah, especially they had such an elaborate plan today. Like Japan, it's this with paratroopers and amphibious landings and an octopus of naval invasions during Tora Tora Tora. I think they got inspired by Jacob during Bergod Hof because he really did that. And if they're going to do that, then they want as much resources as possible.
Absolutely.
Then again, they might want to give it out to Manchu because they will have less stuff to keep a hold on.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it pans out. But we see the Japanese planning some naval invasions on southern China. And I think that we will see that Jacob's tactics during Bergod Hof has shifted the meta in the Hygge HOI community. Because I think he is going to land and he's going to stay here. And he's going to utilize a foothold in southern China to end the war rather quickly. Even if they said that they want a late China war, that means they want a late outbreak of the war. It does not mean that they want the war to take long.
Exactly.
Yeah, we will see. They have kicked off their naval invasions here, so I think we will start to see a Marco Polo bridge incident quite soon. And also in Japan you have the inter-service rivalry where the Navy and the Japanese army is fighting a bit for supremacy. And which you can utilize to get dockyard output and cheaper naval dockyard construction at the cost of army. And vice versa, of course, if you favor army command. Let's go to Siam. We have Thomas playing Siam. Also an important player in the Axis, because Siam is one of those countries where you get like kind of a static front line towards the Raj. You have not much happening. You garrison Bangkok, you keep your troops, but you can do high impact if you get the chance.
And it becomes a very large question of like how in the mid game, how well has Japan managed to take over the Indo-Pacific? If Japan pushes back India and like you get more you get so much more freedom as CM to actually do something. But if India holds out, you're only going to like stay there, you're going to be fighting them. A lot of how CM's game will look will be decided by Japan. And Thomas has played 2 Grand Games before, and he's played the Netherlands and Mongolia.
A bit of a new theater for him then. But,
exactly. Well, the Netherlands does do like a fair amount here, but it's quite a different play style just because you have India right there.
Yeah, but you're on the other side of the Malaya front if you're Siam, right? Because if you're the Netherlands, you will be doing work around Singapore and those places, and if you're Siam, then you're going to try to help the Japanese facilitate a push.
Yeah.
And we have seen some, I think we had a play of the game once when I played as Australia, and we did have naval invasions going on behind with floating harbors and stuff going on, so
Yes.
Yes, please. And right at the outbreak of the Sino-Japanese War, we got a question from our technician if we would like a beer, and indeed we would like a beer.
It is time.
And we see the Japanese kicking off the naval invasions of the Qingdao Peninsula and also moving in to encircle Beijing. And we have the naval invasions in the south going out as well with regular infantry, with artillery now. They had some pack artillery before, but now they have transitioned into a fully packed infantry division.
So if we have any newer players watching the stream, this is a war against the AI, so it's not a player controlling China. It is just a test for the Japanese in order to see how well they can take on the AI. And they want to rack up, like the Winter War, they want to rack up as many casualties as possible in order to trigger different waves. And when they've defeated the last waves of Chinese troops, China will capitulate.
Yeah. So we have, I don't think we've ever had players on China, but we usually, in this mod, you don't, because if China wins, then it's over.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's, I mean, it's probably the same, like, we have the rules that you cannot declare war on Germany over the Rhineland, for example, because technically it's very easy to beat the Axis if you just go like, okay, you can't have the Rhineland, we're going to kill you, and you just do, and then you're done, right?
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, it's very much like, hindsight is 2020. We killed Germany before they become a powerhouse. Okay, great. There's really no world war.
Yeah, and the same goes for Japan in the Pacific. That has now landed on the Qingdao Peninsula, but has not landed, however, in Haiku. We do see those naval invasions actually failing, which is probably not to the liking of the Japanese players. Or no, they're... Oh, right. Of course, I'm tagged in as China.
Oh.
So the failing, they succeeded.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like...
That would have been... that would have been... Oh my god.
Yeah, I was a bit like, how does this foolish deck Japanese division not kill one Chinese militia? But of course...
That would be a crushing blow. Like
well,
cheers.
And cheers to you guys at home.
Yeah, first one of the day.
Indeed. Yeah. And
if you fail the naval invasions, and you can do if you create just terrible divisions.
Yeah.
But then at that point, you've almost lost the game. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the thing also is that when you play against the AI, it is you can cheese it with planning, because if you play like 10 test runs and put like 8 to 10 hours into just testing exactly how the AI reacts in the current patch and how you can push different tiles, and you just do the same thing at the grand game, it will yield the same result in a way that usually does not happen. So this is one of the things where preparation really pays off, because
absolutely
when you play against the AI, you can utilize the AI's shortcomings.
Yeah. So you can do a lot more with prep here, which is why I think we see players like Jacob having such success with Japan. But there's also a lot of going on, because China is a huge country, and Japan again is one of those nations where it's army, navy, and air force. You need to control it all, and you need to utilize all of it effectively. So there's a lot to do.
Yeah, definitely. And also Japan is one of those countries that really needs convoys as well. Because you might get raided a lot later, and as we said before, all of your supply actually emanates from your capital, which means that both Great Britain, for example, and Japan has the somewhat precarious situation of having their capital on an island, which is good because it's hard to take your capital. But also, like, if you have Japanese troops that are going to move to Delhi, it's quite a while away, Tokyo, right? And you need to run convoys with supply.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's one thing when you're fighting only China and you're going to run from Tokyo to Nanking, for example. Then usually you won't get sunk. But if you have American navies going around, wars going on in the Dutch East Indies and Hawaii and like some of the Pacific Islands under American control, and you're going to run a convoy to Bangkok, that's going to be significantly harder.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, again, if you don't pay attention to Navy, you like a small mistake can end up losing you a lot of your fleet, and that can really snowball when you start losing control of areas, because it's not just about your battleships against their battleships. When you lose control of areas, your convoys start getting raided, and then suddenly you're losing your army as well because it doesn't have supply.
Seeing progress about as well as Japan would have wanted, I would say. Nothing too extraordinary going on here. We see a second landing here in Zhangzhou. Pretty classic by the looks of things now. I wonder how I remove this. Let's see.
Not sure what that...
Request expeditionaries. I do not want to. Let's see. Let me tag into... I wonder how I remove this. If anyone in the chat knows how to remove this request expeditionaries thing.
Hang on. Can you just...
No.
Nope. I feel like that's bugged.
I will just be tagged into Japan for a while then, while I figure this out.
We tried, but didn't work.
Let's see here. Meanwhile, let's see. We can check out the Japanese divisions, have a little look at the builds. We have regular infantry, and then we have motorized infantry, not being constructed at this point.
No.
The regular Mountaineer, but then of course the one
Yeah.
that can actually be used is this one. And
Yeah.
at the moment not producing anything, but yeah, a bit of a deficit in infantry equipment, 50 days. They will take that back in a short manner. So
Yeah, small deficit.
no production of artillery equipment, and they also lost the border conflict now.
Yeah.
And now we got rid of the thing, so very nice. I wonder what happens when they lose the border conflict. They think they get some little debuff at.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure. Oh, they're slowly pushing inwards here at Hong Kong. We'll see. They have a
Indeed.
long way to go, but we do see they have
a lot of troops here.
Yeah, and we see their pack divisions, which was what they were producing right at the start. Do have some trucks and some mountaineers. Obviously, when like you have this huge of a country, you want something with a bit more speed than just regular infantry. So having those trucks will make a huge difference.
Yeah. Thank you, Urban Banner, for helping us getting rid of the bugged window. I don't know what happened, but it got removed. So
Yeah.
that's nice. And I think China will be mobilizing their first wave at some point now, if they haven't already, because we see the.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure exactly what the breaking points for the casualties are.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but they have 438,000. So I think it was about. Now they just did War of Resistance, so they get 10% division defense on core territory. As Pete is saying here, we get it's in this national spirits where we will be able to see once they mobilize, because they will get first wave mobilized, second and third wave. Once the third wave is mobilized, that's basically it. Then you can just cap them. And pretty much a textbook Chinese war so far. Then again, like if the Japanese succeeds with this new meta thing, we are going to see very fast and very good Chinese wars for the Japanese player. That can really set them up. So if they manage to execute this strategy, it will be a good Sino-Japanese war for Japan in comparison to historically. Even if it's the same as Berg und Hof, that was like the fastest we've ever seen. So if they go slightly slower, then they will have a very good.
We'll see if the meta changes too much for this. We might have to rebalance the mod, which has to be done occasionally. Because there is a balance here. Japan is not supposed to be too strong all the time, but it will mostly lead to Jacob being able to brag about the fact that he forced them to change the rules.
But it's very interesting though, because we had last game, Japan really cleaned house in the Pacific.
Oh yeah.
And then we had Dankus Memicus on the United States, and he is, to say the least, a very strong player.
Yeah.
But now we do not have Jacob on Japan. But we have Mako on the United States, and it will be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out, because China is AI controlled, so you'll always be able to execute that to your heart's content, but then you will start facing off against the Americans, and they are probably a bit scared of Japan since Berg und Hof, so they have probably some idea of countering.
Yeah. And it's always a choice of like how you want to tackle a situation. Dankus did lose the Pacific to Japan, but instead of trying to like regain control, he switched immediately to, all right, we're doing a D-Day and we're doing it as early as possible. And that really changed the scope of that game, even if it did mean that he ended up being invaded in the end.
Yeah, he also did a lot of psychological warfare. That's the thing, because when we interviewed him, I remember me and Petey sitting in the studio, and we interviewed Dankus, and we talked about the United States.
Yeah.
And he was so cocky, like, I lost Hawaii, I lost Hawaii in 1939. Never mind, I don't care, I will get it back very soon. We will get all the islands back. Yeah. And then we were like, that sounds like a really stupid idea, but we'll see how it pans out. And then he actually abandoned it. Yeah. So, but I think it was pressure from the Soviets that mounted. Like, they did. It was the Hail Mary D-Day.
Oh yeah.
That decided the game. If something, like if he had been 2 or 3 months later with the D-Day, they might just have straight up lost. So
it was possible.
It was probably
us Soviets that game were facing a lot of pressure. So it's always that question of where you want to put your effort. I think we will see a more heated Pacific War between the U.S. and Japan this game. It's possible we'll see something similar where the U.S. says, "No, I'm losing too much. I'm going to focus on Europe."
Yeah.
But it is rare. But we'll see.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. And we have the first wave mobilized here from China now.
Yeah.
They have a national focus, welfare. Replaces low inflation with moderate inflation. Sounds bad if you ask me.
Yeah, well, that's what it is.
Yeah, this is some neoliberal propaganda.
Yeah.
We will see how the welfare goes. The welfare of the Chinese army is not so good at this point.
No.
And Japan is chugging along about as good as they would have expected, I would say. This is still a solid China war.
Yeah, definitely not slow. Although we should not be counting it too much on territory, but on casualties. We'll see how this develops. But we do want to say that for our patrons, both subscribers and free patrons, we will be doing a raffle during the lunch break. And the price is, if I remember correctly, it's
the DLC of your choice or armor pack.
Oh yeah.
So if you win the raffle, we will email you a code. You can get whatever DLC you want. Or whatever content pack you want. Or not the latest DLC, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, maybe not the latest DLC, but everything else you can choose between.
Yeah.
So please become a patron, and it's enough to become a free patron in order to join the raffle, but if you become a paying patron, you will of course help us to run this channel and support our guide production and multiplayer grand games.
Yeah.
We do have we're starting to get some patrons, and we have bought some nice things. We have this cool mic and this cam and the green screen and the drone, of course. But I think the drone doesn't belong to us.
No, the drone is not part of our production. Unfortunately, at some point, what a dream it would be to have a drone. You're helping us out a lot, making it possible for us to actually have a stream production for these games, which is amazing.
Yeah, we have in the YouTube chat here, nice stream. Thank you so much, Hirikayo. And if you haven't seen it, I recommend the Bergård Hof stream, just to emphasize the production value that we just talked about. Shout out to Lucas and Remmefors for, or not, Mossberg, sorry, for the technicians. And also Kunov, the new technician that we haven't had before, that was in the Allied house. It worked out very well with having him run around and filming, and he was always on point. Like when we started talking on the stream, I don't think Dankus likes this development in the Pacific. Then he instantly ran up with his phone. Like, what do you think of this? And we had a very good performance on the technical side of things as well at Bergård Hof. We could actually present Mossberg, because he is a player in this game. Our technician from Bergård Hof, he is playing Poland. And you might think, if you don't know that much about Hearts of Iron 4, or if you don't know that much about their finest bra mod, you might think, oh, who wants to play Poland, right? Because you'll just die. But once you capitulate, you get a lot of off-map factories.
Yeah.
And off-map factories cannot be bombed by definition. So Poland is one of those countries that can really push well above their weight, and they can also get back, because you don't really expect Poland, because if they are capitulated, the government is in exile and all the factories are off map.
Yeah.
Where will they arrive? You don't know that, right? That's the axis. Probably from London, but still, you have some possibilities.
Yeah, and we've often seen Poland air really make a difference, because, like I said, you're completely safe from being bombed, so you just can put everything to create fighters that you can place anywhere in the world where there's airfields. And yeah, you can really turn the tide late in the war.
Yeah, and also Poland is one of those countries that have very good air, like the Polish air volunteers. Are very good. There is a lot of focuses, I think, that.
Yeah, and they will be trying to paradrop Hungary using heavy fighters this game apparently.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, why are they researching 100% research bonus for heavy fighter models in 1938 when they're going to get invaded soon? Why not fortify? Why not fortify the border with pillboxes or?
He's playing the long game.
Okay, so that's why. So he's going to go heavy fighters, and he's going to try to paradrop Hungary.
Yeah.
And I mean that's a bit of a Hail Mary tactic, like. But if you are Poland, you have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You can't. You are going to cap, so you might as well try everything you have. Yeah. And if he manages to, like, let's say that he lands in Budapest, Hungary capitulates.
I mean, it would unquestioningly be hilarious.
It would be very fun, very sad for Hungary, of course. But But I mean, he won't. He will still be capitulated. But that would really hurt Hungary because then you lose. You lose a lot. You lose stability, war support.
And I'm guessing like when Poland capitulates, does Hungary immediately become back?
I mean they will come back.
Or does Germany have to go into Hungary and take it back?
Yeah, they have to take it back, right?
Yeah.
Because if Poland takes Hungary, Hungary capitulates.
Yeah.
Then the Germans will have to go, but there will be nothing there. So I mean they will be back, but I mean that would be a high impact. Speaking of Hungary, we haven't presented the Balkan Bros. It might be time to do that, considering that we are steadily progressing towards the German ultimatum for Danzig. And on Hungary, the country that we talked about, we have Kalle.
Yeah.
And he has played Hungary with us once before, and that was in 2017. So it's quite some years ago.
Quite a while.
It was well before we had this production value in the studios. I don't even think we had like focus trees for these countries.
Oh, probably not.
Back in 2017.
Yeah, I arrived after 2017, so I don't actually know.
And he is a very strong micro player, and that is sorely needed when you are Hungary, because if you look at, as we said before, the Soviets have 3 players, because they are one country that is defending against all of these different ones. Yeah. So even if Germany only have 2 players, then you have Hungary, you have Romania, you have Bulgaria, and you have Yugoslavia. So technically, the micro game is still very hard for the Soviets.
Very much so.
Every one of the Soviets players will technically be facing like 2 or even like 2.2, 2.3 something with Finland at the front in micro regards. But all of the Axis countries are different players and different countries. So it's harder to coordinate. And that's perhaps why we saw such a successful Axis Eastern Front at some points during Bag on Hof, because then you sit next to each other, right? The Balkan Bros are sitting with their computers in a little corner and say, go there, push this, click this. We'll see how that works out now. And we also have a somewhat less experienced Germany this time around. Yeah. Meanwhile, we have some very strong veteran generals on the different minors. Yeah. So it will be an interesting Eastern Front.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to see how, because I'm assuming there will be tanks coming from the Balkan Bros. So how will the tanks fare against the infantry strategy of the Soviets?
Yeah. It's interesting to see an infantry Soviet again, because we have seen that the Soviets pretty much, every successful Soviet have gone some degree of heavy tank, rocket arty from Mongolia, like some sort of motor.
Yeah, the last year, I'd say like year and a half, that has been the case. Before that, Jacob had his very successful infantry artillery strategy. That
with the heavy artillery.
Yeah, that worked very well, and he like completely crushed that game. I tried to emulate the strategy. It did not go as well, but we eked out a victory as the Soviets with the same strategy. But since then, I think we've all, like, Soviet has switched to tanks just because it is so... it is such a boon to be able to punish Germany when they make small mistakes, and you can't really do that with slow infantry.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty much relying on your allied comrades, right? When
Yeah.
you have the infantry build, you hold, you fall back a bit, you burn the ground, you hold, you fall back a bit.
Yeah.
And at some point the D-Day comes,
Yeah.
the Germans have to transfer the tanks, and then you just go full front line and you just go towards Berlin slowly but steadily.
But it does take a while, like I said. You do have mountaineers in that strategy, and you have really good mountaineers, but even when they work, like, they're not going to be as fast as tanks. So if you get on that roll where you're like, oh yes, we're pushing the line, great, but if you push it with tanks, it's gonna not just go 10 times as fast, it's gonna go like 20 times as fast, because
then again, you might, like, you get encircled, you lose your tanks, and then you lose Moscow, and then game is over. So that can be hard as well.
Yeah.
And we have here, Soviets will be going infantry build, Peter says in the messages here. So, indeed.
Yeah.
That will be interesting. And rest of the Balkan bros, the other big tank bad boy in the Balkans is Romania, being played this game by, let's see, Seafrog. And I imagine that...
it's a second game with us, yeah.
Second game with us, played Mexico last game.
And he's going Marines and defensive infantry.
No tanks.
And with some submarines. Okay, this is very interesting. So I'm wondering if he's going with some submarines, is he going to try to naval invade?
I think we are going to see an attempt by Ugis to recreate the Hail Mary invasion of the Baku oil fields that won the game for the Axis that one time.
Yeah.
And that was really a strong play from the Axis. I remember that game that the Allies would have won easily, and then Romania invaded here. Soviet completely out of fuel. Eventually they caved. Yeah. The front line caved, broke, and I think the Axis actually won. So that was play of the game by some margin when we voted afterwards. And but that's the thing, like, because Turkey is a neutral nation. You can't go through the Bosphorus. The Soviets have Crimea, they have Odessa, they have Rostov. Like,
there is...
If the opportunity doesn't present itself, let's say that the Soviets put some boats here, then you can't do it. And then you have a submarine. What are you going to do with Marines then?
Yeah, obviously you can, like, they are better at fighting across rivers and stuff like that. But just like you say, if they just spend, like, a bit of effort defending from naval invasions, it will be more difficult. There's a lot of interesting factors here. For example, the Soviets are going infantry, so they don't need the fuel nearly as much as they would usually do. But the Axis do, so they still don't want them to take it. And infantry can be very different. Like, you can do infantry where you're spamming out a lot of weak divisions. In that case, you have the ability to cover much larger area than usually. But if you want that good infantry with the artillery that can really hold the line, you're going to be pretty strapped in order to cover all the front lines, and a naval invasion will break through and cause a lot of problems. Yeah,
definitely. And I mean, that is one of the things that they will have to deal with at that front. Saxoliv, sufficiently woken up now. Well, good morning and welcome to the game. We are chugging along here with Japan doing a Sino-Japanese war that I think is pretty much to their liking at this point. We have the first and the second wave mobilized already, and things are looking quite good for Japan. And also, we have a question there. Do Soviets go for normal infantry rather than garrison? And that is...
We will see.
Indeed an interesting question. Nothing being produced at this time. We have...
They're going Marines as well.
We have a division here called The Line with a bear paw. So I would imagine my analysis says that this is the line infantry. And this is rather decked.
This is...
This is no meat grinder
exactly.
Soviet
you have a lot of support companies. You do have more than one line of artillery. you have filled it out. The combat width is 30, like it's a full combat width division. This is, for most other nations, this is a good a good infantry division, but it's not crazy. But for the Soviets, this is kind of crazy because you need so many of them in order to cover the line. So this will they will be struggling with production in order to get out everything they want. But where they actually put these units, they will hold a lot better than I think the Germans are suspecting.
Yeah, I would imagine so as well. You see here that they are really chugging out the infantry equipment. They have a surplus here of 20k infantry equipment.
Yeah.
So they are really preparing for like,
and
3k radio equipment. So when they start producing, they won't go into a big deficit, because that's a problem as the Soviets. Like, you fill out the line, you have 1 million men at the front, but they don't have the guns. And then they get pushed anyway.
And that is a classic mistake. And your divisions lose a lot of fighting efficiency when they don't have the equipment they need. So it's such an easy trap to fall into when you have so many infantry divisions that you produced enough equipment in order to equip them in the beginning, but once they start fighting, you don't have enough, and they lose fighting efficiency, and suddenly it doesn't matter that your infantry division is really well designed, because it doesn't have the equipment to stand up to the Germans.
Yeah, and going back to the Balkans, it was an interesting choice. We are going to see a Romania that goes infantry and marines, and smart, interesting new shenanigans. So, hence, I believe that Bulgaria will probably go tank, because otherwise you won't have any of them. Here we see the division being produced, motorized, with some support companies. And on Bulgaria we have Sticky, and that is an experienced player, very good player.
But never played Bulgaria with us.
Yeah. I see a lot of our older, more experienced generals have these little blind spots. Like they have played a lot of games for us. They have all the stars and awards, and then you find out like they never played Finland, or they never played Bulgaria. He got nominated for an award for his resilience. Yeah. And that is kind of a textbook Sticky. He is always very engaged, morale always high, talks to the team, keeps spirits up, and that's an important asset as a player, especially in these digital games, because if you are at Bergårdhov, for example, drinking beer with friends, having snacks, everything, and you are stuck in that house, you have your computer in the house and you're going to sleep there, then you won't capitulate, you won't lose heart, you will always be happy, even if it's looking bad for the faction. You will be like, okay, we're here, we're having a good time with friends.
Absolutely.
But when you have a digital game like this, then morale is significantly more important. Because you don't want to have the despair in the team if you lose.
And exactly. And it's so easy to check out when you're just sitting at home. So the morale, I would say, becomes even more important. He is going trucks, so he's not going heavy tanks. We will see a lot less tanks in this game than we've seen previously. Like, it's really going from pretty heavy into tanks into very very light. It's
interesting to see that, because I mean we have the bird's eye perspective as casters, right? And if I was the leader of the Axis at this point, if I had realized that the Soviets are going infantry, then I would go tanks. Because if you had, like, the Soviets are going infantry, quite beefy infantry, so they won't have too many of them, but they will be able to cover the front with somewhat strong infantry with artillery and stuff. And if the Germans go tank, Hungary go tank, Romania go tank, and Bulgaria go tank, you're just going to encircle, steamroll them, and take Moscow. Right?
And if you do something like where you build medium tanks instead of heavy, because you don't need heavy if they don't have like dedicated like penetrative divisions. So you can just go medium tanks. You can go something like flame tanks, where you just rack up a ton of soft attack. You can break through even the strongest infantry artillery divisions if you design your tanks to do that. And if you don't expect them to meet any tank resistance, well,
But we've seen it's interesting because that's the thing with players that plan a lot, because you have the old military quote that plans never survive contact with the enemy, and I think that that actually is kind of true for our Hearts of Iron games, because the players that prepare the most, that sit the most hours before doing test runs, reading up on all of the different stats on their divisions, like, oh, I have this soft attack, we have this supply in this terrain, and then something happens. Another player does something, and you need to adapt to that. And the more you have planned, the harder it is to switch course.
Oh yeah.
And you really need to be agile in these cases, because if they wise up to this at some point, because if Soviet is going strong infantry with a lot of arty, but the only Balkan player that is going tanks is Hungary, it doesn't really matter.
No.
Because they can't utilize that, then the Soviets will have an edge by having all of that infantry. So that's an interesting choice. We have a question here. Do we know what sort of navy Japan is building? Yes, we do, and we can even check it out. The Japanese navy at this point consists of we have light cruisers that will be like the bread and butter, and then we have super heavies. I'm going to get up the production here. Super heavy battleships being produced, like most. A lot of super heavy battleships. 7 in total. We get information from PT here, and light cruisers, a lot of them, and we can see here we have some submarines, this is destroyers. This is the submarines, 52 of them. We have some old hulls that were from the start of the game, and here is the cruisers they have been beginning to churn out. So it will be interesting to see how this performs. Carrier and battleships and battle cruisers here. 6 battleship, and one of them is the pride of the fleet.
Is the US building anything at this point? I don't think they are, right?
Let's check it out. I'm just going to look at the variant here of the super heavy battleship. At this point, it's not decked out to the max, but we have a level 5 battery, fire control system, 80,000 horsepower engine, speedy battleships, these, and we have super heavy armor, which is what they have basically, and they are going to deck it out even more as we move on, I imagine. Checking over at the Navy side, on the other side of the Pacific, we have the United States with their production of super heavy battleships. It seems so. We will have super heavy battleships facing off against super heavy battleships. Super heavy carrier as well. And this is going to be quite a scary United States fleet. 52 dockyards at this point for the United States, going up against that's Chinese core territory, and 61 dockyards, so Japan slightly in the lead when it comes to the dockyards, but eventually the United States is going to be running ahead.
I'm expecting a fairly heavy clash between Japan and the US. I'm not expecting the US to pull back and like focus on Europe. And I know they've said they want an early D-Day, but every ally team always says that they want an early D-Day. Not every team manages to pull it off.
Indeed. We have an Urban Banner saying that's a lot of metal clanking, so I will just...
okay. Yeah, well, you know, when you're a general for so long...
Yeah, that's the thing as well, that when we are doing... we haven't said that. Shout out to Paradox for once again letting us be a Paradox-sponsored events. This Hygge Games are frontline events, which is Paradox Entertainment's new esports and multiplayer community thing that they do, where you get promoted on their website and you get to be like an official event, not sponsored but endorsed somehow. And there are different levels of these events, like Chevron, Bar, and we when we are doing the Grand Games, we are one level of frontline events.
Yeah.
And when we are doing our physical on, we've actually had Paradox there and taking footage. And then we are a bar event, I think. So that's quite high up on the hierarchy. So thank you so much for Paradox. For letting us be a frontline event and continuing to support the community. We really like this initiative with frontline event. It has worked out very good for us with having the Steam site stream and so on.
Exactly, and T-shirts.
T-shirts as well. And that's where we get these medals. That's what's, what I was going to say, that the team that wins at our Grand Games gets a medal. But if you're a caster, you get the medal anyway. So I get all the medals.
Nice.
Hygge is a good representation of HOI MP.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. And thank you all for your support, and thanks for watching us.
So how's the Chinese war going here?
It is chugging along. We see that Japan is starting to link up the fronts here. The foothold in the south has widened and is moving up, and we see China has mobilized the second wave, probably a while ago. I don't think that the third wave is far off, 2.8 million casualties. Japan, 157,000, still not even 1939. Good China war once again.
Yeah.
Japan is probably quite happy with this. We will see if we get an interview with them later, but I can't imagine them being too sad about this outcome.
If they're, as I understood it, they're planning on being quite aggressive afterwards. So like they want to take the islands very fast with both naval invasions and paratroopers. So yeah, I'm hoping to see a super aggressive Japan here.
They have been inspired probably by Japan's place on Berghodhof. We see green air across the board for Japan, except for in the home islands.
We signed the treaty?
Where we have red air and 100 enemy bombers from...
Hello?
Oh, from China?
From China, I imagine. Doesn't really matter, I imagine. Central China, probably they would like to have green air.
Yeah.
Because here we have... They could quite easily get green air in this region, which is the one that they are actually pushing and fighting in. So that's a bit of a miss from the air control of the Soviet Union, because, for example, northern China, these 91 fighters, these 71 fighters, probably the ones in Yangtze as well, could be placed to great effect in central China to help that push. But... as of now, we see the Japanese doing rather well in the Sino-Japanese war.
Very much so. Have we checked out Australia yet? Because they're up next afterwards. Did you forget where Australia is?
Yeah, I didn't think about it. There we are. Here we have Australia. An allied nation that is usually rather safe in the south of the Pacific. Sometimes they get naval invaded, but they can play quite a significant role with different marines, different stuff.
Yeah, and they're going to be up against Japan after the Chinese war here, together with New Zealand and the Dutch East Indies, the Netherlands. It's being played by Remefors. He played Yugoslavia at Berghodhof 4. And he has played Australia once before. And he's going for a late game build. Infantry and Marines. And 2 carriers with navs and spotting light cruisers.
Interesting. Carrier Australia.
Yeah. We've absolutely seen Marines Australia before. And I've played it once myself. I have not seen Carrier Australia before though.
Yeah, we're going to see quite a lot of Navy stuff.
Yeah.
Like... Navy Australia, Navy-focused Spain, a lot of miners, Romania also, building some Navy for invasions in the Black Sea. A lot of miners that you wouldn't really expect to go Navy-focused seem to be doing it this game. So that's very interesting. Yeah. Surely he's going for Empire of Platypus. No, he is not, because we have a New Zealand player here. And considering that we do, we might as well present him as well, because that's another big player in the South Pacific. And on New Zealand we have Ian, a new player, first game with the community. Welcome to the club, Ian. Hope you will enjoy yourself in this grand game. And he will go for special forces and garrisons, perhaps paratroopers.
Okay.
And he will try to take Narvik when Germany invades.
Yeah.
And that's...
Ambitious.
It's kind of like... If you were to put a stick through the globe,
Yeah.
and it would go down in Narvik, it would probably extrude somewhere around New Zealand. So it's about as far as possible from your home port. So that will be interesting to see.
Yeah. But these two players will have, they'll probably have their work cut out for them if we see a Japan that is as aggressive as we're expecting. Because if all the islands fall, Australia and New Zealand will be incredibly threatened to be
Yeah, they
capped.
will be somewhat on the chopping block, especially New Zealand, to be honest, because Australia has... I mean, Australia is quite big, right? So it takes some time, you need to go, it's attrition, many sea tiles. Yeah. New Zealand, you can just plan a little naval invasion of Wellington with some marine divisions, and then you're just rid of that headache.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to worry about Narvik falling to New Zealand. So
I'm sure they're super worried about that.
We have seen also Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact has been passed now, and we are closing in on 1939 here, or we are in 1939 rather. So at this point, you can see the Danziger War as soon as possible, really. So at this point, we are just waiting for the outbreak, and we have some things that need to be fulfilled. The Germans need at least 950,000 manpower in divisions in the field before they can do the ultimatum for Danzig. And at this point, in the field, they have 948,000. So very soon, Germany will be able to claim Danzig, and then we will indeed see the outbreak of the Second World War and our lunch break.
Yeah, and we have Knistan, who's apparently been ready for an interview for a little while, because the chat has been hearing him call for us.
We've heard twice a lonely hello. Are you expecting an interview or just wrong Discord channel? Finding it funny. Okay, of course, we... Hello, Knistan. Are you here? We're sorry. Yeah, perhaps he moved out of the channel now.
Yeah, he didn't want to wait for us.
He's there. Okay. He should hear me. Maybe he's muted for me.
I'm not hearing him.
No, he's not talking. Kristen. You're right to him, Peter. And
I will see if he hops in.
Yeah, and Christian, of course, is our player on Soviets, right?
Yes.
And he will soon be entering the war and taking the east part of Poland, but also finish Winter War at some point.
Hello, can you hear us?
Hello? I don't know.
I heard him say hello at that point.
Oh fuck! He's muted for me. Oh no, he's not.
Hear you now? Hello.
Why doesn't this work then?
I hear you now.
Yeah,
Wait,
I can hear you. Can you hear him? Of all the technical stuff we have here, it's Discord that's the most confusing for us.
No. Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Nice.
Alright, okay, yes. I think
we have
we're
to
good.
mute each other.
Yeah. I don't think I have a microphone here, actually.
You do.
Okay.
There. And you mute me on Discord as well. And then we are golden.
Yeah, you are muted. Just go.
Good.
Nice. Hello, Christian. Sorry for the delay. We had some technical difficulties, and we also got sidetracked by analyzing the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, that's okay. We don't have much to do now anyway.
Yeah, but you will be having something to do rather soon. How do you feel about the Winter War, which will be the next eventful thing coming up for you?
I feel quite confident. It's a small country, the Finnish people. They think that they can stand against us, but I don't think so. I actually put on a shirt from Jonte's bachelor party today because I'm gonna kill him today, so I thought I would honor him.
Yeah, that
It says
sounds
Jonte's
nice.
crew, but I'm not his crew today.
Yeah, it's good. Maximum disrespect from the Soviet Union. How do you have any special plans? What is going to be your tactic?
Well, generally speaking, our plan is no armor. So we will be fielding armor if we get it Lend-Lease, but otherwise it will be an infantry plus air build. And when it comes to air, we're also building strategic bombers, which we're now trying out in the Asian theater to much success, I think. So yeah, we're inflicting damages on them even though we're not at war. So it feels nice.
And you're also planning to go an infantry build, more of a classic Soviet return to basics meta for you this game. How do you think that's going to pan out?
Yeah, it's like return to basics on steroids because yeah, historically you have a few mediums where we won't have any. So I think it's going to work out well together with the air. So if they don't have air superiority, the Axis, it will be very hard to slog through meat walls of men and good anti-tank guns. So I would expect them to go a soft attack build, but I think we have the counter for that. So given time and given good air macro and micro, I think we should slow them enough.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we seem to have lost the game feed here. We were looking at the Finnish front all this time, switching between the airplanes and stuff, and then we had New Zealand on the stream. But what are you thinking? What do you think the Axis is going to do? Do you feel scared, or do you think that you will be able to hold them with your somewhat basic infantry?
Well, we're gonna be honest. They're gonna be like 7 or 8 players microing against our 4, so it will be a deficit in players. But I don't think they're that much of favorites. I mean, they will have armor, we won't, but we have prepared for this. So yeah, barring a big breakthrough, which we can't stop because our divisions are too slow. Not gonna jinx it, but if that doesn't happen, I think we have them.
Yeah. How have you divvied up the front? Are you taking a section each, or do you have one person controlling air and special forces, or how do you guys want to do this?
Yeah, we're gonna have one section each. So we're gonna have Rosen in the north. I'm gonna be in the center, and then Erik is gonna be in the south. And then we all have subsidiary things to do as well. I will control the air, for example. Right. Rosen will do more economy things, and Erik, I think, will do a little bit more intelligence. Yeah.
How much armor penetration have you prepared for your frontline divisions?
I cannot give you a number, but it's between 2 and 4 anti-tank guns. Yeah. We'll probably have a few divisions with extra as well. We can put in hotspots.
Have you done tests in preparation, or are you kind of just building this off of previous strategies?
Well, it's both. I think I've only made it to 1939 in my playthrough. I haven't had that much time to play. Rosen has done one more playthrough, and together we have an entire playthrough.
yeah.
So I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. Are you planning on trying to take the entirety of Finland and then holding the north, or are you prepared to have to deal with Finland for the majority of the war as an opposing force in the north?
We're gonna do an honest try to cap him during Barb, but if it doesn't work out, we're not gonna go all in on it and lose other fronts because of it. But I mean, he is alone in the beginning, and we do have a good air power. We can bomb him down very quickly, so we're gonna do an attempt to cap him. Yeah.
Yeah. You're not feeling extra incentivized to cap Jonte?
It would be very fun to cap Jonte. It will be. So yeah, we might do a try.
Yeah. I'm assuming because you don't have the opportunity to actually do a sea lion this game, so I'm wondering what the crazy thing we expect to see from you is going to be.
Well, we have built an aircraft carrier. It's very important for me to have one. So we have one in the ice in the Barents Sea to protect the shipping lines there. Then we are planning to maybe do a counter invasion of the Balkan countries if they get to like Rostov, or like if they've taken the entirety of Ukraine or something like that. We can do a little push in the back, but it's not like do or die. It's if we have the opportunity, we'll do something like that. So our entire battle fleet is going to be in the Black Sea, and an escort fleet in the Barents Sea, and we'll have nothing in the Baltics.
All right. Yeah. So you have a lot of options, at least.
Yeah, we can do something, hopefully.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how it pans out. We are looking forward to an exciting Eastern Front and an exciting Winter War. And good luck in your further endeavors on the battlefield.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, confident Soviet. We have lost the feed from my computer, hence the background, and we don't really know why. But well, it worked out before. Perhaps we can do a little switch.
Yeah.
I could check it out. Meanwhile, a bit of a radio commentary here, I imagine. We have the Kingdom of Italy have joined the Axis, and yeah, Saxoliv said here, I just thought that you were really focused on the naval zones outside New Zealand. No, indeed we were not. We have been checking out the air above the Finnish Eastern Front, and checking out a lot of like natural focuses and stuff, but now we just need to get this
maybe you
working
were.
somehow.
I'm pretty sure this game will be decided by the naval zones outside of New Zealand.
We are going to try here to try a different HDMI cable, just it might be a hardware issue rather than a software one.
Also, you need to align your medals, apparently. They're not currently.
Oh yeah, but if I align them, then they clink against each other, and people complain about that on stream. But I will see what I can do. There.
All right. Well, we see Germany starting to line up everything for their invasion of Poland.
Yes, and also Poland as well. I'm sorry that you can't see this now. Hopefully the new cable will work, but we see
paratroopers.
Yeah, like Poland has planned paradrops of Budapest, Pech, or however it's pronounced, Sofia, Plovdiv, and Burgas. So both, if they don't garrison, then both Bulgaria and Hungary is going to capitulate to the Polish forces. At this point, there are nothing garrisoning Budapest. And there is nothing garrisoning Sofia. But Burgas is, because they're going to need it for naval invasions. So
they won't lose Burgas, but possibly the capital. Poland, these paratroopers are dropping from the border. So technically they can see these troops, which should give the Axis...
And they are veterans as well.
They're veterans,
These are... Yeah, this is actually going to hurt quite a bit, I would say.
Yeah.
That's the paratroopers.
Yeah. So if the Axis are paying attention, they can see these troops here, which is highly irregular.
Yeah, that's probably not so smart of the Polish player if they're going to do this type of Hail Mary tactics, but it will be interesting to see. We have Saxoliv saying here that it's like a sibling doing something fun and reporting it all to you in order to inflict maximum FOMO. And a bit. We do have a bit of an issue here, but Pete is working on it. And the thing is that once Danziger War kicks off and the actual war kicks off, then we're going to have a lunch break. And then we're going to fix it anyway. So you won't miss anything. You won't miss any part of the Second World War, at least.
No.
Even if this takes a while to fix. Meanwhile, over in the Pacific, Japan is chugging along, and it is moving on. And
Third wave
the third
has
wave,
mobilized.
third wave is mobilized for China. Currently casualties at 4.3 million, but still need about 40 less.
Yeah. But we're approaching the end
limit,
of the China war.
Yeah, we can see that we have. China will capitulate quite soon, I would say. It is a foregone conclusion once the third wave is mobilized. And we have veteran Japanese troops.
Oh, yeah.
The regular pack artillery infantry, and also the slightly stronger regular infantry.
Yeah.
Have a lot of experience at this point, so pretty much all veterans. Some green, which is probably later.
Yeah.
They have unusual time or later than usual for the Sino finish, and the thing is that historically I would say it is a fast China war, very good for the Japanese, but it is slightly slower than they did at Bagorov. But only ever so slightly, and this new Japanese meta is working out very well.
Yeah. They're not gonna be disappointed with this war. We have absolutely seen a lot slower Japanese victories, where still the Japanese player has managed to be impactful. So they're gonna be happy with this.
Yeah. They definitely are, and the thing is that well, is it possible for it to stream in Discord and then share screen to that Discord stream? And now the thing is, it's really not, because I mean we get the feed from my computer, which is going out through the. So I can't really.
Yeah, so it's not a problem of game versus Discord. It's it's the connection between the two computers.
I wonder what happens if I press.
Try streaming on Discord though.
Sure.
In your game.
Okay. Let's see.
There. Yeah.
There. Won't we get the double sound?
No.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, I can go 1440p, 60 FPS. I guess we go full HD, right?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Right? Did it work?
Better than nothing.
Oh, it is working.
Yeah.
Well, we will look at this for a little while then, and then I guess we will go back to the regular stream during the lunch break, because then we will have time to look into and fix this.
Yeah.
And speaking of, we can show off this invasion plans now again. As you can see here, we have the Polish are indeed trying to do some unexpected things, and we have also Hungary not really expecting the unexpected things, it seems. Also Bulgaria not expecting the unexpected things either, but since they have by chance garrisoned Burgas, I don't think they will cap.
No.
And
I'm not sure exactly how many victory points you need, but they're gonna lose their capital. They're gonna lose their second largest city, but they have a lot of cities left.
I would say that they probably won't cap. I don't know where we have there. Where is the victory points map mode here? This terrain, compliance, states. I don't know where it is, but they have victory points to go around. Hungary though is significantly worse.
Yeah.
Or probably not actually, because Plovdiv is a larger city than Pécs.
Yeah, and they're not gonna take Bratislava, so
we will see how it pans out. We have a paradrop on Königsberg as well.
I don't really know why.
I guess it will. I think it will hamper the supply. Right? Because if they get, as we said before, all of your supply emanates from your capital. And since the Polish corridor is still in Polish hands, that means that supply from Berlin has to go to Rostock and then shipped over to Königsberg.
I was gonna say they have a second port, but that port is connected to everything else through Königsberg port. So that actually will disrupt all the supply up there. I don't think it'll stop much, but we'll see.
I have a question in the chat. Is Dankes playing as any nation? And no, unfortunately, Dankes is not playing with us today, but he will hopefully be back rather soon. We enjoyed having him at Bergerhof.
Yeah.
I remember I joined his stream late at night also when he was going around with this little balancing thing with his phone and was broadcasting the party.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Let's see here what Germany is doing. I think we are going to see Danziger War kicking off rather soon. They now have 960,000 troops in the field, and they can do Danziger War whenever they want. But they have not done the second Vienna Award, however. But they don't need to, because that is when they give Romanian territory to Hungary.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they want to do that this game. If Romania is going infantry. But we will see what happens.
Do you think Romania will give up the conflict with the Soviet Union?
Yeah, that's an interesting question as well, because we have seen, actually the first time Dankes played with us, speaking of, I think was when he was playing Romania.
Yeah.
And when he was playing Romania, he refused the demand of Bessarabia, and there was an early war between Romania and the Soviets.
Yeah.
And he won that war.
Yeah.
He eventually lost the game, though, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
But we have seen some Romanians doing like a little mini winter war around Odessa.
And the thing about like trucks versus tanks, at least, is that trucks are quicker to build, so he will have more of them ready for that if he wants to take an earlier conflict with the Soviets.
We see Danziger War ticking on here. In 2 days we will have an outbreak of the Second World War, which means we will have our lunch break. We are going to have a raffle for a free DLC or content pack of your choosing, so please join us on Patreon, become a free Patreon, or support us even more and become a paying Patreon. And after the lunch break we will draw a little note and someone will win this nice prize. And also you will be supporting us if you join. During the lunch break we will restart the stream so we can get the actual feedback, so we don't have to go through Discord. Even if it has actually worked out.
To my surprise.
Somewhat good. I don't think the expansion pass is included, but if it is, I would also say that's the meta pick. And
So tune in after lunch to see these Polish paradrops. See if they actually work.
Indeed. This will be very interesting to see, because actually nothing is garrisoned except one of the Bulgarian towns. So by the looks of things now, the Poles will actually be successful in taking Königsberg, Budapest, Pest, Sofia and Plovdiv, which is more land than the Polish nation has taken since the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth at this point, I would say. So that will be interesting to see. And also, thank you very much, Urban Banner, for the suggestion of streaming through Discord. You pretty much saved the last 15 minutes of content at least. So very nice that.
And, imagine Germany capping. Imagine if he just sent all the paradrops into Berlin.
He could technically paradrop Berlin. And then the supply wouldn't get to the front.
Oh yeah, that'd be hilarious.
We will see. Does he have air superiority? That's a very good
I am not sure. We will see here.
I mean there is no airplanes in the air. So if he puts up his airplanes, then he has air superiority.
I think he would need to do that immediately.
He has 100 here, so in Northern Balkans he will have air superiority. We will see, the thing, technically, I mean, everything in the Polish game plan here relies on Axis complacency. More or less, because the Axis can stop this. If they had garrisoned towns, it would be done, but if they just send up 200 airplanes over each air zone, the Poles will never get air superiority and they can't do it. So there is a lot of dominoes of complacency from the Axis that needs to be fulfilled. By the looks of things now, things are looking good for Poland. They will probably be able, because Hungary is close to their airfields, and the different air zones. So Hungary is the ones I would say are in the most dire straits.
Absolutely.
Because they also have front line. So if they take Budapest and Pécs, they can perhaps take like Preslov or Selina with these line troops, and then they will cap them. It is a bit harder in Bulgaria because then you have 2 air zones that you need to cross over.
Yeah.
Or both Northern Balkans, which they will have though here. So technically it's just one, but
you can't.
It's 2 in total.
Yeah, you can't do airdrops with 0 air, right? Like
no, that's the thing.
Yeah, so they need to either split their planes, which technically would give them green air as long as they're the only ones in the air, or they need to drop Hungary and then drop.
Königsberg, on the other hand, to round out this before we go to lunch break, will probably be hard for them because, as you see, Königsberg is a part of the Western Poland air zone.
Yeah.
And I think I have an idea of who is going to have the air superiority in Western Poland, and it's not going to be the Polish. So probably that paradrop will fail, but 2 out of 3 is not bad for Poland.
This is definitely going to be interesting at the very least.
Speaking of which, we are going to pause the stream now, and we're going to have lunch. And when we're back, we are going to have fixed the issues with the HDMI image supply to the stream, so that you can have a bit higher quality. But apparently I had Discord Nitro, not sponsored by the way, so we could stream in full HD 60 FPS, so this worked out better than expected. Thank you for watching. Join us for the raffle afterwards. If you have some time now at the lunch and having some food, become a Patreon so you can enter the raffle for a free DLC or a free content pack of your choosing. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and subscribe to us here on Twitch as well. And we will be with you from 13-15 hours. 13:50 hours.
Yes.
Yeah, the 13:50. 15 is... So.
Yeah, that's in 10 minutes.
See you back here then.
Yeah, see you after lunch.
We'll see how the war pans out. Bye.